It's 2021 and it's time to make it real with Squarespace. That's right, Squarespace. Squarespace is out there making it easier than ever to launch your passion project, whether you're showcasing your work or selling products of any kind. They've got beautiful templates and the ability to customize just about anything so you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. And if you do get stuck, Squarespace has 24/7 award-winning customer support right there, ready to help you out. Can't beat it with a stick. Well, I mean, it's because it's like it's out there. It's not. I mean, I don't know. Can one beat a website with a stick? These are the questions that remain unanswered, but perhaps Squarespace can help. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
And welcome to the Giant Bombcast for March 9th, 2021. I'm Brad Shoemaker in a counterclockwise mood this week, starting with Danny O'Dwyer.
Howdy ho.
How's it going?
It's going good. Video games,
Good.
They're happening.
Good.
They're coming
Yes,
out.
they-
I'm playing them.
yes.
You're playing
They
them.
never stop happening. That's right. Jason A. Stryker,
Sometimes slow.
Oh, hi. How are you?
out of beta this week.
Yes, finally.
Yes, finished. Jeff Gersman. You're muted. You appear to be. There's it up.
I'm muting. I'm
There
unmuting
it
myself,
is.
and I had to mute
There it
myself and
is.
pause downloads and all this other stuff. This Apex patch started coming down. And,
What are you doing? Oh, that. Apex Legends. Not yet on the Nintendo Switch. We'll talk about it.
No.
Jan
No,
Ochoa.
not.
I feel invincible.
Whoa. What were you bitten by a radioactive spider? What's
No, just had like a good Monday. Weird.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Turns
Nice.
out that can set the pace of the week.
Yeah, for
Nice.
sure. What was so good about it, if I may
Okay.
ask?
I was telling Danny about this earlier in the pre-show, but I've developed a problem with film photography, and the gear acquisition syndrome has gone through the roof. And
Yep.
a
Ooh.
very sought-after camera that goes for way too much money because of celebrities, I found for significantly lower. The problem being, it was all the way in Watsonville. So
Oh, wow.
I've
after
never
I
even
wrapped
heard of
up-
that place.
right outside of Santa Cruz. Right after I wrapped up all the work for the day, I messaged the person in a panic saying, "Hey, can you hold this for me? I'll add an extra $25, please." And they held it for me. And then I drove to Watsonville and
Nice.
acquired the camera. And now
Just stop off in Gilroy and just like inhale the garlic smell. That's like kind of right there.
Oh yeah, I rolled down the windows. The dog was very happy and confused
Mm.
about the smell of garlic everywhere. And then she saw cows, which I don't think she had seen before. And she was very
Huh.
confused and started like getting really angry at these cows.
These are big
That'll
dogs. I don't get it.
Why? How are celebrities jacking up the price of that camera? Are they all buying it? Do people
They're
want
all
it to
buying
take
it.
pictures of them?
They're all buying it, and because a lot of film cameras are out of production now, the scarcity effect starts to set in. And because, of course, you get like a Kylie Jenner or a Frank Ocean using it on TV, and it's like, oh, look at this film camera. The price goes
It's so retro.
so retro.
It's just like when I tried to find a PXL 2000.
It's exactly like that. It's
Yeah.
100% like that. You also drove to Watsonville,
ultimate
right?
film camera. Yeah, I drove to Watsonville with a bunch of blank cassette tapes saying I can make movies on these now.
What do you think? What do you think is the youngest person out there that has an actual living memory of having to drop film off and have it developed before you get your pictures back?
Me.
Like 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, like late 20s, 30, something like that.
Yeah, I wonder if Abby is like a year younger than me, so I wonder if she ever had to do that.
Did you ever have to do it? How old are you, Jan?
29.
You say?
29.
Okay. Big one's coming. Do you
Exactly.
remember?
How
Have you
easy
done
it
it?
Yeah, totally. I remember dropping it off at the Walgreens.
Okay.
Person being very upset that they had to do that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what year would have been the year when that would have been a lot harder to do. I'm trying to think. Like we took a bunch of pictures when I was in a band in like 98, 99. But I think by like 2000, I had a crappy little digital camera, and we just started using that for everything instead. So I have like pictures. I have like photos from like 97, 98. But like at some point, a year after that, it all changed. At least for me.
There was a while there where you would bring your like memory card to the photo place, or like put it in a machine, and then they just do it. The lab would do it that way. Like that's still dead now, right?
There's still those kiosks. I think are still out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you
like
want to,
Walgreens has one, right?
Yeah, because like if you want to print out your iPhone, like if you still want that and you don't want to go buy a photo printer, like there's still some small crummy kiosk that does that. Yeah.
Jeff, when we were moving down to the first floor, you handed me a couple rolls of used film in the canisters. And we have no idea what the hell could possibly be on them, but I have to find out someday.
One way to find out.
I can develop it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked to hear that the Walgreens employee was like annoyed about that. Like they get to go hang out in a dark, quiet, like very red room for a while. That sounds okay.
I think they were just annoyed that they had to like put gloves on, maybe a mask or whatever. They couldn't just
who would want to do that?
Yeah, some stuff never changes.
Times have changed.
That's right. That is right. Danny.
Yo.
All right, good. I'm glad we're getting right into the biggest news. Royal Watcher Danny O'Dwyer. Let's go.
Oh God.
Let's not. Let's not.
Oh. All right, well, whatever you're going to talk about then.
I can't talk to anyone about it because I have a friend who works on the Oprah set who it does not, obviously he's a professional, does not talk about anything. So I haven't had a way to talk with any of my friends about this because the one person who I could talk to about it can't. So my friend Oprah won't talk to me. So can I talk to you guys about how unfair this is on the royal family? those sweet people. What have they ever done?
What have they ever done? It's a good question.
No. You don't want the Irish guy wading into this.
Yeah.
Probably not. Not a lot of royalists where you come from.
Yeah, objective observer.
It's institutional for you.
Let it out, man. Let's go.
Burn it down.
I will be your Oprah.
Can I ask, is the whole like popular perception about the royal family being like, oh, they make money, like they're a tourist attraction, like they pay for themselves? Like, is that a bunch of bullshit? Like, is that just smoke and mirrors?
The way you care about this, I think, is so generational, or it's class based as well, I'm sure. But like, I think as long as they're not like getting involved in the day-to-day politics of people in the UK, people are generally happy for them to just exist. And like, as crazy as a lot of them are, I think the general consensus is that the Queen herself is fairly like on point, sort of understands the role that perhaps the royals have to keep in the future. But it's like a different story for the two boys because like they lost their mother in like public at an incredibly young age. So I think generally people kind of wish them well. And I think, Harry's always been one that folks have sort of appreciated the fact that he's not sort of, he hasn't fully drunk the Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? Like he was willing to sort of carve his own path. So I don't know. I'm sympathetic to them. I just, I'm sympathetic to Harry and William and their families because the British tabloids are just monstrous when it comes to this.
It seemed like
especially given what happened to their mother and their culpability in that respect. So, it's just so it's such a like a meta battle or like a proxy war, right? For how people think generally in the UK, whether or not they're sort of more progressive or whether or not they yearn for the days of the empire. That's kind of where a lot of this comes down.
Yeah, I think it's weird because I think the last time there's been like zero stories about the royal family, but like when the stuff with Princess Di, I think was the last time that like America was gripped with royal fever, because it was just like so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like I hadn't even I don't think I realized that dude was his that was the relationship there until relatively recently. I was like, oh, okay, man, this is fucked. And that's my take. There you go. That's America's take. Man,
America's
this is
take.
fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe they're happy that at least this has taken the attention off of the unfortunate connection to Jeffrey Epstein that's been the sort of royal
great
narrative of the past couple of years.
How's Prince Andrew doing these days?
Not great. Yeah. Sounds just.
Hey, here's my segue, Danny. What if, in an attempt to abolish the monarchy, we abolished the entire world? And then we slowly remembered the good parts by running a loop over and over, fighting a bunch of monsters every day, as the memories of the lost world slowly drifted back to us. That's my segue.
I love this.
I have never played.
That's the premise of Loop Hero.
Like this. What is this game, Brad?
What an unusual dude. I was when you emailed me and said you had also been playing it, I was like, oh, thank God he can describe it, and so I don't have to.
No,
because,
I was saying the same thing. I was like, please, for the love of God, let Brad take the lead on this.
It's a really esoteric, kind of abstract, unusual game. So the first time I played it, I was just I started working on my material immediately, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to go in there and say it's like, what if Progress Quest, but slightly more interactive. But I think that's actually selling it pretty short. If people don't remember, Progress Quest is the completely non-interactive
I remember Progress
game
Quest,
where you just watch your bar fill up over and over as you level without actually playing a game.
I thought you said Prog Rock Quest, and I was like,
No,
I
that
need to play this.
Oh,
That would be a very different and potentially better
such
game.
a long game. Oh, but the art's really good.
Yeah.
So it looks like a 90s, early to mid 90s PC VGA game. It actually, the pixel art reminds me of a Dynamics game for the 8 people who remember Dynamics.
Yeah. Okay.
It's got that kind of look to it. But it's kind of a run-based RPG where your character runs a loop. There's just a randomly generated track that your character moves through automatically. You can control how fast he moves, but that's just a game speed thing. And you can pause it to strategize, but other than that, you can't stop him, and he will run into monsters along the way. And the battles are completely automatic. You don't do anything; he just fights. And monsters drop weapons and gear, shields and armor and rings and stuff. And you basically equip those in real time as you're going around, and you get vampirism and regen and counter chance and evasion chance and all that stuff on that. And you are earning materials as you do your loops that you cash in at a home base to upgrade stuff.
Okay.
And the risk reward, the part that I am struggling with, because I think this game's pretty hard, or I'm pretty bad at it, or both. Danny, have you beaten the first boss yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, that makes me feel better, because I also have not even gotten to that boss yet. The risk reward is you have a campfire that you pass every time. You're literally doing laps. It's like fucking NASCAR. It's like the closest thing to NASCAR RPG that I have seen. You basically, every time you pass the campfire, you heal a little bit. There are a couple of buffs that trigger every time you go by, but you have the chance to dip out every time you hit the campfire and take 100% of the resources you've collected with you. Because if you don't do that and you die before you complete your next loop, you only leave with 30% of the resources, which is pretty rough, because I have found the resource grind to be the hardest part of the game.
Yeah,
So-
and you can also bounce out at any other stage, and you only keep 60.
Right.
So
So
you
if
can
you
sort of pull the ripcord.
Yes. If you see things going bad, you can take a smaller penalty and get out. But the upgrading in the base is so slow. I don't know if I'm missing something. Have you been building a lot of stuff there? Because every time I finish a loop, I get back there and I'm like, well, I still can't build any of these buildings. I don't know what these resources are that I'm missing, but they're not dropping.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out I think the way those levels, how you accrue more stuff in each level. Because the other sort of element of this game, on top of all what Brad talked about, is the cards, I guess we'll call them. So as you defeat enemies, as you pass through certain areas on your loop, you get doled out cards that you can then place on the loop map, as it were. Some of them are just meadows, and it just creates a little grass patch outside of it.
I immediately messaged Matt Rory as soon as I started playing this game, and I was like, dude, this game has land cards in it. It's probably for you. Because he's a huge Magic guy. But a bunch of the cards literally are mountain and rock and meadow and swamp.
Yeah, and then it's like some stuff generates, bases. Like you can generate enemies for yourself, right? So you generate like a spider thing, and that'll spit out spiders every 2 days, or a swamp, and that'll make, I think it's mosquitoes, or a vampire house, and it means vampires will sometimes.
I don't want that stuff to spawn. No.
So I don't either.
I'm not going to play a spider card.
I don't either. So yeah, that was kind of my reaction too. And you actually build your deck before every run. You can like take cards out of contention. I don't know if this limit changes, but you can have up to 12 cards in your deck or less. So one run, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take all the spiders and vampires and skeletons and shit out of this and just leave the good cards in. And my assumption is you're just not getting the resources you need because I assume those are tied to specific monsters. So like that turned out to be an easy but very uneventful run that I eventually just bailed on because I was like, nothing's happening here and I'm not getting anything. So
yeah, it can take a while to like get stuff that way. So I've realized that like there's certain things like if you're up against vampires, they generally drop like better weapons, for instance, so you can take on more people. And then you're kind of trying to optimize your loop so that you are not dying but also killing as many things as possible. But there's all of these other little sort of, I don't know what you call them, like strategies or meta games that are happening. Like each of the land tiles has its own sort of buff or impact on the game. So if you put rock tiles beside each other, they'll make your maximum HP go up. If you get a grid of 6 of them, did you do that? Did you pack any of them?
It turns into a peak.
Yes, and then that does stuff like it creates gargoyles, which
harpies, or maybe both. Yeah, like harpies and gargoyles will start spawning on the map. Like you literally see a little like icon fly down from the peak and land on your track. So there's like a kind of a leapfrog effect. Yes, the treasury, you like build other cards around it, and it gives you random items every time you. It's a weird system.
Have you filled out all the grid around a treasury? If you fill out all 6, you get like a windfall of stuff.
Oh, is that what does that? So you can even keep doing. I don't know if you've gone beyond that. Like you can kind of extend that indefinitely. Like every time you drop another one that is still touching that big mass around the treasury, you still get more items. There's like a whole weird meta game around how you place those cards.
Yeah, so I feel like every time I play it, I like try something new or like read a description I'd like previously sort of not paid enough attention to, and I'm layering it, and then you're upgrading your base and stuff. But it is a bit like at the start, especially the first couple of runs I did, I was coming back with nothing. But the more like I think the curve on the amount of stuff you get, like when it starts getting higher, when you're in like, I don't know, loop 9 to, I think most loops I did was like maybe 16 or something, I forget. Then the risk reward really ramps up and you start like accruing more stuff, but you're like, oh, am I going to make it back to the base on time? There's like, a gargoyle and a vampire and, then random mobs start appearing, and then you start getting oblivion cards you can destroy tiles with if you want. So it becomes like the first loops are quite slow. And then by the time you've added in like, lights to make you go faster and these crystals to make the time of day go faster, like each loop on its own becomes more of a quest that like, oh, am I going to make it around one more time?
You really start micromanaging your strategy at that point. Cause there's all these like AoE buff cards. And like you said, it's like this one makes you attack faster, but it also makes the monsters attack faster. This one makes fewer monsters spawn out of their tiles. And you're like literally like, okay, God, I've got 3 Oblivion cards left. I can delete 3 monsters before I get to the campfire. Can I make it? I've got 100 HP left. Like it gets pretty tense. And then I think the only thing we haven't mentioned is there's a couple of meters filling up in the corner at all times. One of them is a time of day meter. So every time it fills up, that's another day ticking over, and you get like a little health buff every time.
I think it spawns
sunrises
the monsters again.
But yes, they're also monsters are also tied to like, these skeletons will spawn every 3 days and stuff like that. And then there's the boss meter, which just slowly fills up as you do loops. So I got within like a hair's breadth of spawning the boss, but I was down to like 150 HP. I was like, this is not happening.
How many loops was that?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Does it count them?
It does. Yeah, in the top right, there's a little thing. It has this like the old school aesthetic to it. It's good that it has like normal text and also this dyslexia friendly text as well, because the sort of UI, it has like the classic, like I haven't seen this since like Amiga games where it has, the language is on the main menu in maps. You click which map you want.
There's just like a giant grid of flags that you can pick from at the beginning of the game. That's pretty
flags,
awesome. Yeah, it's great.
But the music's super good. The art, I love the character art.
Yeah, the writing is actually like kind of surprisingly decent too.
Is there a lot of animation to it, or is it kind of static?
Pretty much all
the guys Yeah.
pretty much all static character portraits when they're talking, and then like your dude when he's running the track is a like 8 pixel high like white stick figure, like no color, no detail,
Okay.
no nothing. It's like basically an icon. Like it's it'll bring up a kind of Final Fantasy looking close up like monsters and fighter squaring off kind of thing when you fight, but it's very rudimentary.
Yeah.
The parts of this almost sound like you must build a boat. Like there's like a the way you talk about like, hey, sometimes you're just not getting enough resources to move forward. I feel like there was like a hump somewhere in the middle part of you must build a boat where it just felt like I was doing run after run after run and bringing stuff back and being like, this is cool. I got to do like 80 more of these to eventually buy the next upgrade.
Yeah,
or something.
it's pretty similar to that, and I wish it maybe gave you a little more of a nudge in a direction of like, hey, this is the material you need to build the blacksmith. Maybe you should put these cards in there to get it. Like there's no
like recipe system or something that at least tells you like, hey, if you're going for this, do this. Yeah.
Like a lot of the, like all the armor and the cards and stuff, they've got good like mouse over tutorial tips, pop-up tips, but for stuff like the resources and the construction recipes, they don't really tell you what you should be doing. So that stuff's tough. And then like this, the last thing I've noticed is that I think this opens up after you beat the first boss. There's actually classes. Yeah. So you start with the warrior class, which they just describe as like, all around class, like no specific strengths or weaknesses, but then apparently there are other classes that will open up as you get deeper in.
Yeah, I think magic is more of a strategy. I think there's an alchemist or something because magic keeps coming up. I love that.
There's like a lot of magic buff or magic damage buffs that I've seen that don't seem to do much right now.
And the weapons, like the random nature of the drops is such a big part of it too. Because I had one where I was on like loop 7 and I still had like a one sword and I was like, what's going on? Like it was taking forever to kill anything, and then you have bad runs and you have good runs, and I think that's where it ends up being quite a lot of fun. But yeah, it like each run is kind of a commitment, and you can't just, I don't think you can save mid-run.
No, I learned the hard way that if you quit out in the middle of a run, you come back, it's just gone. maybe they give you the resource. I hoped it would save. Like I was like, I bet they'll just save it right where I am, and no, you presumably all that progress is just gone if you quit out. I mean, you can bail, you can retreat to camp and keep 60% of your stuff, but you can't just resume that run by coming back to it later, which is a little bit restrictive.
And it feels like, because you do need to put in like 15 minutes before it starts to, kind of reap rewards. Yeah. It's cool though. It's really neat.
This is the team that did Please Don't Touch Anything. There's a VR version, Please Don't Touch Anything 3D. That was like like it's barely a game. You kind of just, it opens up and there's just a panel and you can push the button and blow up the world, and then like, I found a screwdriver and now I can do this, and like find all these different ways to poke at it and interact. That thing was really cool. This is very different from that.
It is cool, but it's kind of the one gripe I think I have as well as what you said, Brad, which is the resource management stuff is a little bit obfuscated, because the things that you're picking up, I think like you need 12 of something to create the one thing. Like it's not 1-to-1.
Right. It's like you'll
around that.
Like it'll drop like pages, and it's like, get 12 pages and it'll make a book or something like that.
Right. Yeah, you pick up myths and stuff.
Right.
And I like the story side of it, where it's like the world is, where nobody seems to know where the world is, but they know that the world was here and that it's gone.
The intro is fantastic. A skeleton wizard man appears in the sky and just erases existence, and you are the only remaining person, and there is no universe, and it's up to you to fight monsters to remember the world.
And like the story stuff metal. It's mostly in it is, and it's very like mostly in the camp
adventure metal.
Yeah. Did you have any of the story stuff happen in the game though? Like when you meet the first harpy, for instance, like they're like, I don't want to make the world you want to make. I want your version of saving the world is different to me. And then
it's like weirdly philosophical. Yeah, the harpy is just like, I just want my young to feast on you so they can survive. Like, what do I care about your world? It's an unusual game. It's pretty cool, and it runs in a window. Like it's very easy to just like, you can run it full screen, of course, but you can pop it into a window, and it's like kind of a decent like second monitor game.
So how often do you have to interact with it then? Like if you're second monitoring it, is it something that like how
it is still pretty demanding.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's the thing. Like it's like you can't leave it without babysitting it for more than I tried, because when you first start out, it's like nothing but slimes. They're very sparse. It's like, that first few loops are whatever. I'll just let it go. And like, I found that completely screwed me, because like, if you're not actively equipping all the armor that's dropping and like planting cards to get more health and buffs and stuff, like you eat so much damage early on that you kind of can't recover from it. So it is pretty micromanagement heavy.
One thing I appreciate about the way it doles out the inventory stuff is that if you accrue a lot of cards, and if you keep getting cards you don't want to play, they just keep stacking up, and then eventually I think they push the new ones off or something.
Yes, it will push the old ones off. Because
I
had a very rough experience this morning when I had like a bunch of Oblivion cards that I was saving to try to like save my last run, and all of a sudden a bunch of cards dropped and they all just got scrolled off, and I was like, well, fuck me, and I just died instantly. So yeah,
the same is true of the
gear. Yes, gear is the same way. You've got, what is it, like 12 slots in your inventory, and old gear will just get shoved out of existence. It turns into building resources, so it's not a total wash.
Oh, that's cool.
But if you don't equip it, it's gone after a short time. So
yeah, by the end you're getting like rings and swords. You'll get like 4 of shields that are lower than the shields you have, so you just ignore them and they all pile up. It's cool. I feel like it's a game that gives you a lot of options. Like there's lots of strategies during it, and also I was worried that it would be a game where 20 minutes in you have a certain strategy and then you sort of cornered yourself. But there is, like with the Oblivion cards, and with like, I think especially now that I'm holding on to more cards and not just playing them all the time, which I definitely was at the start, you can still sort of change your strategy mid-game a bit. I'm not sure how viable that is when you're trying to run to the boss, but it's cool. You kind of don't want, like, it's not at the end of a run or at the end of a loop when you're deciding to bail. It's not like you're, oh, thank God I get to go back and bring all this stuff back. It's always like, oh, just one more loop. Like, it's got that one more game-itis feel of like, no, I think I can make it, because you're getting so much stuff in those later loops. It's cool. Like the loop of the game itself is very fun.
Totally. And like the nature of the stuff you're getting is very different run to run. Like I had a run where I just kept getting health regen stuff, and I was at like 8 HP per second health regen, so my health was just constantly going back up. Wow. And I was like, I'm just going to ride this out, that one was very different from other runs where I didn't get any of that stuff, So yeah,
that's cool.
It's cool.
That sounds awesome.
It's like
some of the early talk about
it.
Some of the earlier talk about it made it sound a little more deck building than this makes it sound like. So
you just build your deck at the beginning of the run and then kind of forget about it. And just,
but even that's like, hey, here's possible stuff that might drop when you win a fight, right? It's not even necessarily okay. Yeah, that's cool.
I do not like card games like that. I've never, and this is so light in that respect that it's never gotten in the way for me.
It's just one part of the game. I'm really looking forward to beating the first boss and seeing how it opens up with other classes and stuff. It's pretty cool. $15, like there's a lot there, I think, for the price.
Is it just
only
PC?
On Steam? Yeah.
Yes, just PC right now.
It's Square Enix's indie label, I think.
Is it
Devolver?
I thought it was a Devolver game.
Oh, is it Devolver?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of the other game I'm going to talk about. Sorry. Yeah.
What other game is that?
Circuit
Fear
Superstars.
Oh, I played some of that on our Friday stream. Impromptu.
A cute little
Circuit Superstar.
Game.
Oh, okay. Not
Yeah.
Fear Effect.
No. I don't think we played Fear Effect. Sometimes Fear Effect will just sneak up on you. I don't know.
Like, whoops! Accidentally played Fear Effect.
Oops. Well, there goes that again. That game seems cool. Do you like it? Like it's early access. It seems a little thin right now.
It does. That's the one thing I'm thinking of. It's a small team though. It's only 5 people. I think it's like every game is made by 5 people now, I guess. But it's that's what I'm wondering is like, what type of early access game is this? Is this sort of the core game and they're going to add more tracks, or are they going to add more to the gameplay of each race? Because it's weird. It's kind of like, I guess, you're sort of top down, Circuit All Stars, or what was the old Amiga game? I'm trying to remember the top
Micro
down
Machines, like that.
Kind of like that, but like isometric-y a bit more.
Yeah, it's like an RC Pro-Am or a super off-road, like that style, and very slidey, very drift heavy. So you're like really just like kicking the rear end of the car out around every turn.
Yeah, that's the sort of unique aspect of it. I think is the driving model in this is way closer to a sim than you will expect, probably. Like acceleration is more realistic. Like it almost feels like the game they made like a sort of more realistic arcade style driving game, kind of like your Blur or something, and then they just pulled the camera out, and made the controls be locked to sort of tank controls because of the camera angle. So it's interesting because I come into it, I play it the same way I play F1 games, where like you really don't want to crash because you don't want to lose the advantage. There's no rubber banding, I don't think, to speak of in this game. And yeah, the handling is tricky. And I think the only issue I had at the start, which was that like a lot of those type of arcade games, you can kind of get away, like Rock and Roll Racing, for instance, you can kind of see the turns coming, or you can react to them as they come. Whereas if you're playing like a driving game, generally you have to like learn the track, right? And then it's from learning the track that you understand the lines and the braking zones and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
or like a mix of that and like staring at the mini map, right? Of like, okay, I know there's a left coming up here. And I just don't know how severe this left is going to look when I see it for real.
Yeah, but I think I found it hard to read the minimap on this one, I think, because the turns kind of come up fairly quick after each other. Like laps aren't that long. So once I had learned a track, I was having more fun with it that way. But it's a bit like, I really like the game and I love the driving and I've had a good time doing it. And there's like split screen and multiplayer and all this sort of stuff. But I feel like it's missing like some extra layer there. I'm not sure if that I get that from multiplayer or something, or I know there's like pit lane strategy stuff and you can extend the races, but I found myself a lot of times either coming last or coming first, and I wasn't having interesting mid-pack battles, which is kind of the, for sim racing, that's kind of the most fun aspect. So I don't know.
So
I think it's really
want
cool.
like oil slicks, rocket launcher, like
maybe a banana peel.
That's the
shell.
Yeah.
like,
but something.
where do you go?
Right. Yeah. I think that's, so I just like Micro Machines was one of those franchises that people were just like, oh, this is like amazing, legendary multiplayer. But like that issue of I can't see the turns coming just sucked all the fun out of games like that and like circuit breakers for the PlayStation and stuff like that. That just like, it was always really hard to manage. This seems a little bit more, I guess like the game doesn't seem like it's quite as fast as some of those were, so maybe you have a little bit more time. But I guess if you're sim style racing, then it's you're prepping for turns a lot more dramatically than like off road or super sprint or somewhere you just like spin that stupid wheel and just hope for the best. But
yeah, if you're trying to line up an Apex, sometimes it's 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 a little bit more particular. Yeah, it doesn't have that effect of like the bad, like a very hard wipeout level or those bad Micro Machines levels where you're just slamming into the wall on the opposite side of a turn. It's not doing that.
I fell off this kitchen table onto the floor again.
But I don't know what it is, because I don't think they want to go simmy that way. There's lots of different types of racing. There's like Euro trucks are in it. There's open wheel. There's GT. There's like rallycross as well. So there's different types of cars, but it's missing something. Like I don't know, something that isn't weapon based. That could be mechanical, like like an ERS system. You get an F1 where you've got like a boost button, or like drafting, or there's just some type of mechanic that would make the even games like Wreckfest have the damage as part of the gameplay that adds a spice there. It needs something else, I think.
Do you think drafting would fix, like you're talking about like mid-pack battles and stuff, would drafting be the thing or a thing that would help address that? Or, I mean, or is that more of like a recovery mechanic? Like I really screwed it up and now I'm in last, but
yeah, something like it's because it's tricky, right? Because you can't really do a sim game that also does rubber band. I mean, I'm sure they do under the hood. I'm sure the F1 game does. And I'm not a designer, so I guess I'm just sort of more throwing out. This is the perfect response, the perfect non-designer response to this problem is that it needs something, and I don't know what it is. But it needs some sort of extra little.
No, the non-designer response is that you know exactly what it needs and what the hell are these people doing, and you're like, just keep getting angrier and angrier. I can't believe they would do this to me.
They only needed like a weekend to fix it. What's wrong with them?
What? Come on.
I've had some. Yeah, it is cool.
I
had a similar experience with it where like I was either hopelessly behind or like way out in front in the lead, but in either case, I just wasn't seeing a lot of cars that often. So yeah, not mixing it up with a pack. I don't know that drafting they would have to change something more fundamental about the way that cars interact.
Maybe it's AI. Maybe it's also the thing about a 5-person team is that they're probably not getting a lot of playtest. Like I don't want to assume, but like maybe they don't have a big playtest pool. Maybe that's what early access is all about, is actually being able to get data back on how players are doing, and then from that sort of tweak the AI and develop that a little bit more. It's hard because like think about a Mario Kart.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Is there any type of collision that you can turn on or off?
There is, and there's a damage meter in the corner, and there's a pit lane sort of as part of it too. But the damage I was finding my car getting damaged only when I was like really ramming people, which I think was seemed to be well tweaked, because it was basically stopping you from just trying to crash yourself, using cars as bumpers on the outside of an Apex. But it looks really good. The graphics are beautiful.
Nice clean, like kind of twee little look to it, I guess. Like, I'm trying to think how to say this without sounding pejorative. Like it looks like a mobile game, but good, if that makes sense. Like it's got that like it's like clean and bright and colorful and really sharp, but like not cheap looking. Like it looks very nicely crafted. It's
like a
good foundation.
2 Point Hospital or something. That's
sure. That's a
cartoony
totally.
3D thing.
Yes, a bit blue sky, you might say.
Yeah, it's neat. I think if you're into, it's cheap enough as well. I think it's $16.99 on early access. And I think if you can play it split screen or multiplayer with people, there might be a bit more enjoyment out of it too. But yeah, it's early access, so fingers crossed they'll keep adding the fun to it. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it is. And as somebody who plays a lot of racing games, I'd never really played a game like this sort of combination of arcade and sim. It's kind of on the opposite side of the split second blur, I guess the blur world of, it looks realistic, but it's more arcadey. This looks arcadey, but it's actually more realistic. And that was interesting, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's cool. Speaking of that Friday show, I feel like I should mention the Eternal Cylinder just briefly.
Oh, what a game.
Oh, yes.
I don't know what to say about it. The fuck?
It's you
evolve little Cubert dudes into, let's see. All right.
Ace Team.
All right, so you got the little Cubert dudes.
The Cubert sequel you've been waiting for. They finally did it.
I played it on the UPF for the Friday stream. We're going to do an actual unfinished with it in a couple days. It is from Ace Team, the makers of Xenoclash, which ever since Xenoclash, I will show up to see whatever they are doing. And boy,
haunting.
This was kind of billed. This was billed as like Ace Team made a survival game, but it's more like, I forget who said it on the show. It's like Spore, but a survival game, kind of. Like you're basically tiny little monsters that eat other monsters and mushrooms and plants and stuff and evolve different features. Such as now I can blow my big snout and sound like a tuba and scare all the other monsters away from me.
Or then you get real hefty and you can carry more stuff.
Right. You get a storage body. You evolve a storage body.
And web feet so you can swim in water.
Right. Yeah. Also there is a gigantic, and I mean fucking huge, metal cylinder constantly like rolling over the landscape and destroying everything behind you. And it gets really red and angry looking when it's destroying everything, and then like occasionally it'll go dormant for a while so you can actually play the game. But it's always just sitting there in the skybox. It's always just this huge ass cylinder every time you spin the camera around, and it's just like, that's a very menacing looking thing just sitting there.
Unless which direction you got to keep moving.
Yes, it's very directional. It's really easy to tell like which way the gameplay is, because the other way is just the cylinder. I
hope you eventually evolve to be bigger than the cylinder.
That would be good. That would be
very
good.
Become a cylinder.
Yes. This is just a beta. Like you literally just go to their website and sign up, and they send you a key for the Epic Store. So I don't know how much of the game this is, but it's basically a demo at this point. You can just play it. I need to see more of that. I need to see where that's going, because good God.
It's some of the enemy. I mean, some of the creature designs. I mean, it's Ace Team, right? So like that's, what are they good at? Making nightmarish looking creatures that just are frightening to like just twist. They're twisted. It's a little twisted.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the weird walking mouth creature in this definitely checked my box of just like, you freaky motherfuckers! God damn it, stop it!
Is this like the giraffe looking thing?
Oh no,
it's you have to see it. It's I don't know that it can be described in words.
I'm on the like Epic Store screenshots, and
it's Pac-Man looking straight at the ground with like very human looking teeth, and then feet that are coming out that just kind of,
it's just constantly working its jaw, like kinda, and you can run right in the middle of its. Oh no.
There's another thing here that looks like a giraffe, except the mouth is the bottom side of the neck. So the bottom of the neck of the giraffe and the top where the head is a mouth.
Okay.
That seems
okay. They like
What
their
is-
mouths. They like big mouths over there.
what is
I
this?
don't know, man. It's
They need to stop.
it is a real return to form for Ace Team, I would say.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you'd
that
have kept
ActRaiser
up-
thing looked like it could have been cool,
Yes.
but it was.
Yes, that was not great, sadly. But
Yeah.
this seems pretty good. I need to see some more of this. I need to see what this is.
Yeah, sign me up.
Yes. I have good news for you, Jason. You can in fact sign up and get a beta
I
key.
can. Wow.
Yeah. Jan.
Speaking of betas, just real quick.
Okay.
Monster Hunter's coming back.
Oh.
In 2 days. 2 days, baby. The same demo that you had before is going to be like re-enabled with a bunch of new tries and stuff, and then they're adding a new monster for you to try and take out. So that's they've been having some live streams the past couple days with announcements about the Monster Hunter Rise. It's got me
Seems
all
weird
along.
to be. I mean, that game's out so soon that it seems almost weird for them to be like, "Here's a bunch of streams about it." But
everyone's an info dump. Seriously, there's so much stuff to go over with these new systems and stuff. It's just been a treasure trove of info. It's kind of overwhelming.
I'm excited for it.
Gonna get back
wait
in.
for
I
my-
want to see.
I am
I
too.
want to see people get nuts with all the wire bug stuff. I want to see what that truly looks like when people have had some time to really, really get good at it.
And that dog.
And that dog. Ride the dog? You ride the dog, right?
You ride the dog.
You can ride the dog. You can ride the dog in town. Yeah. Oop.
Can you ride the cats yet?
I don't think so.
Those cats
Call me when you
walk
can.
on their hind legs. That means they're people, man. You can't ride them.
You can ride
Right.
people.
Those cats have feelings.
Yeah.
Watch me.
I have feelings, and anyway,
The Oscular
Sorry to
Chef
interrupt.
submits to no one. Okay,
fair.
that is fair. Jan, I understand you've been turning the Muso crank in your spare time.
Oh yeah, baby.
I am sorry to hear that.
No, it's all by choice.
What's going on?
Persona 5 Strikers. Actually, I was very dismissive of the game when I initially heard of the concept of you're taking Persona 5 and turning it into a Muso because, what would you be fighting? Would you just be fighting a bunch of shadows or slimes and stuff? And that doesn't seem appealing to me. But then I popped on the quick look with Alex, and we said it there, but it's like how Yakuza, like a dragon, flipped the formula and turned everything into a turn-based game. Persona 5 Strikers flips everything and turns it into like a beat-em-up. And I think calling it a Muso game is a little bit of a disservice because you're not constantly being barraged by a bunch of enemies. You're entering little instances, and then it kind of becomes like a beat-em-up game where there are a bunch of enemies, but then it still retains most, if not all, of the little bits of combat quirks from Persona 5. So you're still summoning personas, you're still firing off spells, you're still loaded, you can like unload guns on folks, you can roll up to personas and blap blap blap. And you're also, you're pretty much you still have all your characters from the original game. I think this was developed in tandem with Persona 5 Royal, so you don't have Kasumi in your party, and there's like virtually no mention of her. The premise of this game is the Persona 5 crew, the Phantom Thieves, go on a road trip, and you have this like neat little RV that Dojima gives you, your curry coffee dad. And yeah, the crew just takes off on an adventure, and they meet or come across an AI named Sophia that has a sense of smell. And how
As
that
you do.
works? Yeah, as you do. How that works, I'm not 100% sure, but instead of busting palaces like you were in Persona 5, you're busting into jails to break
It's not
people
how it
prisoners.
out. So anyway, instead of busting into a palace, you're breaking into a jail to defeat the warden, and it's the similar formula of you're going into a place, stuff is going bad in that place because someone has an influence over the little city or the town or the place you're in, and you gotta take down the big bad. And it's interesting because I really thought that this would just be a throwaway side game. When you hear Muso attached to something, But there is like, Jason, I think you've played a little bit of this too, but there's an obscene amount of dialogue. This is a Persona-ass game.
That was my experience. Yeah, there was 5 minutes of combat followed by 45 minutes of dialogue, which I can't really fault it. Like that's what that game is, but it's definitely not what I was expecting from a Musu game like this. I even saw some clips of like some side-scrolling action. Like what the hell's going on there?
Yeah, it's like the same type of like when you'd be exploring the palaces in Persona 5, like you're running around, like you can avoid the enemies and stuff, and it retains a very similar dungeons style of that, where you can choose to avoid the enemies, and then some of the dungeons shift to a 2D perspective, so there's like light platforming, and you can lightly choose if you want to keep exploring one way versus another. And it also retains like the same like kind of weird stamina system from Persona 5, where if you're kind of feeling, you and the party are feeling a little run down from exploring the jail, you kind of have to like jump out and like rest up for the night and jump in the next day. And the combat surprisingly works really well. You do have the ability to just mash away, but just like in Persona, there's some enemies that are resistant to physical attacks, so you can't just be mashing away. You have to cast Bufu, cast other stuff onto them, send off nuclear spells, and you can actually choose. You have access to the full party of the Phantom Thieves, and you can dynamically switch them in and out depending on how you're going and like what enemies you're coming across. It's surprisingly really, really neat. The story it feels just like another Persona story, and if you like the cast of Persona 5, then I definitely recommend this. I've heard in the later jails that it gets a little bit more grindy, but the combat like feels fast enough that me personally, I don't think I would mind grinding as much in it. I was pleasantly surprised.
Do they put any kind of like social link system? Is like, hey, the people that you have in your party are going to level up, differently, or is there anything like that in there that you've seen?
Not really. I think that is one of the systems that they've not gotten rid of, but like haven't included in this game because, I guess because this takes place after the fact.
This would be maximum social link anyway,
right?
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those friendships are already formed. They're bonded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go on a road trip with people I wasn't max social linked with.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to, dude. You want to sit in the car for 12 hours with somebody you don't know that well.
Fuck it, man. Roll the dice. Get in the van. Let's go.
Anything could happen.
It's a sick RV though. It's a really sick RV. Yeah, it's God. I like when I heard Muso, I was like, oh God, here we go. Here's like that Zelda one again.
Yeah, what are you playing it on?
I'm playing on Switch, and it's surprisingly
okay. Yeah, because
running
I was
okay.
Say, after that second Hyrule Warriors, I don't know how I would not be brave enough to play a game like that on the Switch again. Maybe like it's running all right.
Yeah, it's been running fine. I've had to put it docked a little more often than not. Load times are to be expected with like the Switch, but when I was watching Alex play it on the quick look, he was playing it on the PS5 and seeing Persona 5 in 60 frames was weird. It was real cool. It was real cool. So that moves so crank, it's
yeah, that's right. Very little that 60 frames per second won't make better. That's my policy.
It's weird. I didn't care for Persona 5 all that much from what I played of it, and I don't like Muso games, but hearing you describe this, I'm like, yeah, I should.
Yeah, it's like they took Yakuza, and it's like, hey, let's do that. And it works.
Weird.
Yeah.
It works.
It's a different take on those games. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna play with it more.
But I should, it should be known that like it's like a fuck ton of dialogue. It's like it almost feels like more dialogue than like the base Persona game, minus having to manage all the social structures of the game. But it's been neat. It's been neat. I miss my coffee dad though.
Yeah, you got to leave him behind, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
You'll find him. I have faith. Speaking of you playing Switch games,
oh boy.
I have to ask: Have you made up the roughly 11 hours of progress you lost in Bravely Default?
Oh no.
Yes, I have.
Oh my, dude.
But again, that is
that
like
quick look was painful, man.
it was all user error, I will say, and I've learned since then I will never again trust an autosave.
Yeah, man, you gotta always make a backup.
Always make a manual save, no matter if I'm trying to like bull rush through a game or whatever.
We went to record that quick look last week, and you implied beforehand that you had lost a little bit of progress trying to set your save up for the video. And then we got in there, and it was like, yeah, I was like 15 hours into the game, and now I'm here back at like 3:45.
Yeah,
dang.
I don't know if I could do it a second time in a JRPG like that.
The thing that is hard specifically with Bravely Default 2 is that it's very, very grindy. It is a traditional RPG. Bravely Default 2, slightly confusing in the name because it's not a direct sequel to Bravely Default, because that was called Bravely Default
Bravely Second.
Bravely Second on the 3DS.
Bravely Default, then Bravely Second, then Bravely Default 2.
But the story in the game is oddly very similar to Bravely Default, where you're a no-name person washed up on a place, and you come across a couple people that are obsessed with crystals, and you got to help them find the crystals.
Okay, check. Yes,
Central California.
Are there 4 of them by any chance?
There are 4 of them.
Okay, check. Yes, all right.
They're all based after elements.
Okay.
All right. You get one of them very early in the game.
Okay.
But yeah, like if you're looking for a good old classic JRPG specifically, and I don't think I am at this point, then this may be right up your alley. It's the same similar art style as the first 2 games, so it's like chibi storybook looking fare, and it looks really neat. Like you have the ability when you're in certain towns to zoom out of the map and look at the whole thing, and it does retain like a storybook quality to it. My problem with the chibi characters is that they're a little bit too detailed. Like I shouldn't be able to see someone's facial jawbone structure. I should just see like soft faces. But yeah, Bravely Default 2, it's incredibly similar to the original games, and it follows the same combat system of brave and defaulting. Braving. So everyone has starts a battle, generally every battle, with 0 battle points. And you can choose to brave, which would put you at a deficit of brave points. So you can go as low as -3. And through that, you're taking multiple turns at the same time. You're just burning through your turns. And by choosing to do that, you wind up leaving your character a little bit vulnerable, and that they have to wait until their turn counter goes back to 0. But if you choose to default, you're kind of go into defense mode, and you're building up a brave point, so you'll take less damage, but you're storing up a brave point. So then you could wind up burning through your brave points, go to 0, and not have to be at a turn deficit. And that part is really neat. The part that is very dangerous is that the enemies also behave on the same system, so they could be defaulting the whole time. Meanwhile, while you're trying to throw all your spells at them and go hella hard, only for them to come back at you twice as hard, and almost wipe your whole party if you're kind of like absentmindedly zooming through the game. There is a very expansive job system that is interchangeable for all the heroes. One of them specifically, I will never change his job. Elvis the Black Mage. Boy, Brad saw this guy in the quick look. He's a very styling dude with a chin strap beard. He has a fedora.
He's got a fedora. He's got a trench coat. They're both black. Then it zooms into battle view, and you realize he's got the chin strap beard, and his name's Elvis.
Yeah, and he's
one of the internet dude.
He's one of those
internet pickup artist guys, right? I mean, he's got to be. The look,
yes, he is, dude. He is just peacocking all over those battles.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, and like the battle pose when he wins, he just turns his back and is trying to act all cool.
Extremely edgy.
Very edgy. But it's cool that the jobs are interchangeable. Like everyone can be whatever they want. In my experience, from what I've played so far, the bummer parts, I wouldn't say the bummer parts of the game. The downsides for me personally is that, man, you got to grind up so hard, and some of these battles take forever. You do have the ability to fast forward and like up the speed in all the battles, and you can kind of just like mash A to get through it. But there's certain instances where, oh no, I missed all of my attacks and now I'm dead. And then it's one of those JRPGs that once your party wipes, you default to like the checkpoint in checkpoint in the dungeon, or like sometimes your last autosave, which can bite you in the butt or feels like very tedious. And a lot of the quests so far, the main quests and the side quests have just been very repetitive of like, okay, now you're at point A, go to point B, either collect these 3 things or defeat these 5 enemies, and then once you've done that, go all the way back to point A. There's a couple like quality of life things I wish they would have just implemented of like, okay, now I've completed this quest, I'm done with this quest now, instead of having to turn it back in. But I mean, hey, if you're looking for that formula,
very traditional.
It's very well and alive.
It's very that.
It runs relatively well on the Switch. Again, like you're gonna experience a couple load times, and seeing some of the chibi characters blown up, you see a little bit too much of the hard edges in between. Almost everything's voice acted too, and it's pretty okay. But if that is not your scene, also you can just skip through all that. They have several difficulty options in the game. I've been playing on the normal difficulty option. But there's like a super casual one, which I'm assuming you can just blast through all the enemy encounters, or like maybe you'll get jacked up on XP. And then a couple harder ones, which, I'm assuming will make the enemies smarter. And even at the normal difficulty, the bosses can take forever. Brad watched me try and take down a boss, and that was quite the endeavor.
It was a long fight.
It was a very long fight. And then you're unlocking more jobs once through missions in the game, and then generally when you beat a boss character, they will have a job that you have yet to unlock, and then you can have that job. It's a JRPG, JRPG.
It seems like it's definitely that. If you're looking for that, real fast before we go to break, have you guys seen the recent press about Fantasian for iOS? It's coming. It's coming to Apple Arcade. It's from Mistwalker, which is Hironobu Sakaguchi's studio, the creator of Final Fantasy. Which
it looks crazy.
I thought Mistwalker had not put out a game since like Blue Dragon or something. Like I was like, where the fuck did they go? And then I looked, and like they've been putting games out constantly. They're just all on iOS and Android for the last decade.
Okay.
So they never went away. They just stopped making console games. I think Blue Dragon. No, I'm sorry. They made a Wii game after that, but that was their last console game. Anyway, yeah, it's Apple Arcade exclusive, but it's that PlayStation Final Fantasy style of like pre-rendered kind of like static backgrounds that they turn into, interactive backgrounds or whatever, except instead of rendering the backgrounds, they hired a gigantic team of model makers, and they physically built the entire environment, like the entire game's worth of environments, and photographed them and used that for the backgrounds. And yes, it looks, and it's like super obviously high res, like really nice crisp photography on all these physical models that they made with these little polygonal people running around in it. It looks so cool. I don't know that
I'm looking at a trailer right now,
because much like Jan said, like everything I've read about the story of that thing is like it's very JRPG. It sounds like that, but I want to play it just to see those backgrounds in action, because it looks like it's like the most elaborate shoebox diorama that has ever been made for a video game. It's so cool.
It's great that they're doing it. It's kind of cool that Apple is like putting that together. But yeah, at the same time, I don't know.
It might get me
a game for me.
Might get me to re-up. They're doing something with the random encounters, and it sounds like, I forget what they're calling the system, but you can choose to skip it and then just wind up tackling it afterwards. So like you can bank, like if you just want to like get to like wherever you got to go. It sounds like you're able to skip your random encounters or whatever enemy encounters you have to, and then just store them for like a marathon at the end, which
is
wild. Like I don't know if you're going to be able to like reset like your stats and like HP afterwards, but like that sounds dope as heck.
Like how long can you put it off? Like Yeah, can I like,
just save all the battles for the end of the game.
yeah, exactly. Get watch the end credits, and then it's like you've got 870 battles to play, and I'm like, no, the fuck I don't, and swipe it shut. And
Yeah, the look of the game is just rad, man. Like I will probably sign up for Apple Arcade just to see that, like play it long enough to see that stuff in action. I don't know. Is there any?
I'm back in on Apple Arcade because I got like another free trial or some kind of. I think when I upgraded my phone or something, it was like you can have 6 months of Apple Arcade, but you gotta hit this button in the next 10 days. And I was like, all right, fine. And so I'm technically back in, but it just hasn't. I've yet to see anything newer from last time.
Grindstones on consoles now.
I was going to say,
yeah.
like, is there any other precedent besides that one for coming off of Apple Arcade? Like, I don't know if those contracts prevent that.
Right.
Or not.
What
I
the
don't know any other ones.
The major
Is that
eventually
Was what the
Yeah,
golf?
what the golf made it off.
Apple Arcade game. Okay,
Oh.
right, sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so there is a chance. I mean, but also again, Miss Walker hasn't put out anything not on phones for 10 years or so. So I don't know how much chance there is of that.
the system is called the Dimension system.
Okay.
Dimension.
So dungeon and dimensions.
Ah, yes, of course. It sure does
Lovely.
look cool, though.
I got a press release, speaking of Apple Arcade, that Frogger in Toy Town, an Apple Arcade exclusive, has been updated with
Oh, great.
something.
Oh, God, right. Yes, right. Frogger. That Frogger.
Yeah. Frogger in
Yes.
Toy Town. Yeah,
Yes.
Frogger from the hit
Everyone's
TV
lips.
show Frogger.
Yes. Indeed. Right. Yes.
Wait, Brad.
Yes.
Are you seriously going to tell me we're not going to have a Valheim check-in?
Oh, we will. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back on the other side of this with, I don't know, is it still the most important game of the week? I don't know. TBD. We'll decide after this.
Make it real, baby. That's what I like to say to people when I'm walking around at my home office here and I'm talking to the other people here in my home office. Like, hey, let's make it real, baby. Let's make it with Squarespace. That's right. Squarespace is here to turn your dreams into realities. That's right. It's easier than ever to launch your passion project right now. Whatever you try to do, try to start a new business, showcase some work, publish some stuff, sell some stuff. Squarespace has tools that are ready to make it real for you. And with beautiful templates created by the world-class designers of Squarespace and the ability to customize just about anything with a few clicks, you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. And that's right, it's all optimized for mobile. You can sell stuff, you don't have to patch stuff, upgrade stuff. You need to buy a domain, they'll sell you a domain. You need help? They've got help 24/7. That's right, Squarespace is out there helping millions of people. Designers, lawyers, you know who they are. Artists, restaurants, that's not a person, but it's people. Under the new tax code, a restaurant is a person, a gym, gyms, that's just people. Gym is a people. That's Jimmy James Nasium is turning his workout facility into an internet website with Squarespace. That's right. All these great ideas can become something real right now. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/bombcast, and the offer code is BOMBCAST.
All right, Danny, favor us with tales of your Vikinging.
I am experiencing, I think, the late game sensation of playing with friends in that I had a rather busy work week last week, so I wasn't on Valheim quite as much. And I came back, I think the first time I came back after like 4 days, I logged into the Discord and they were like, "Are you around?" I was like, yeah. We've been 40 minutes trying to kill this third boss. Please get in here as quickly as you can. And then that was my first. And by that stage, they had like, stone ring forts, and
Yes, they've left you behind.
Oh my God, like we're at silver and iron, and silver now is the new thing. It's just like we're looking for the fourth boss. The social pressure now is that's the new game to play.
That's right.
Can you keep your
no.
friends? Can you
Did
be
you say I saw
relevant?
this? saw this thing going around that there are like corpse retrieval services now. Did you see this? Like you can get like
Like a group
high
of
level-
people will come into your server.
high level people will hop on your server for you and help you get your corpse back.
So good. It's
It's
so
pretty
good.
amazing. Are you
Yeah.
still on it? Like we did another stream last week, and like Abby was playing with us. She did a bunch of good building on our server because we have not been playing super diligently, and that got us into the copper sort of loop. And I basically hit the point where I was like, all right, now I'm going to build copper versions of all the stuff I already made out of flint.
Yeah.
I felt like at that point I saw the treadmill start revealing itself. Like, does it stay
Yeah.
interesting? Like, is it just that? Is it just going through the same loop of like, all right, now I'm on to the next better material again? Or
It is, especially with the metals. And I think the problem, I would love to play this solo as well as with a group, because I think at least with a group, like it behooves you so much to be playing as a group at a certain stage, because what our strategy has ended up being is, when you're trying to mine stuff, the biggest problem is it doesn't go through any portals, and there's some stuff that is just further away, or at least the further you get from where you start, the more abundant it is. So you end up setting up these like camps, but of course you can't bring the stuff, so the camp needs to have its own forge and its own thing to make coal and all that. And like staring that in the face as a single person playing solo, that sounds like a lot. And also just it's harder to kill the mobs if you're on your own. So being able to specialize and have somebody like one of our dudes was just really good at making potions and getting food ready, and somebody else was just crazy about mining, that like helped, because the hardest one so far is the copper stuff, right? Because you need bronze and tin, and then you have to smolt this together. So whereas like now we're getting silver, and silver is super abundant once you find where it is, but it's incredibly heavy. So it's almost like the inverse problem where you end up having so much of it, but you just can't carry any of it. So
are you building carts and stuff like that at that point to help lug it around? And like, the carts are to sound like a hassle.
It kind of turned into like a Factorio, a first-person Factorio game or a third-person.
Did I hear the cart physics are something to behold?
Oh, it's the worst thing in the game. The cart is completely unusable. Like, unless you have a road between two houses or something, carts work fine. But in fact, one of the guys tried to stretch it to the absolute limit last night, where he found silver is up sort of in the mountain biome area, and he tried to run down the side of the mountain with the cart and ended up getting stuck underneath the cart, freezing to death, and we had to all go up. So like it's the same as before, just the stakes are always, just when you think you've figured out a way to be invincible, a new thing happens that makes you have to like shout at your friends over Discord to come get you. So I'm still having a blast with it. It's even outside of the community aspect of it, which is like undeniably that's just fun outside of the game mechanics. Building stuff, figuring out all the the new materials we have with stone now, building with that. The one thing that maybe is a bit tricky is that, have you guys had one of those random sort of mobs attack your home base?
Yeah, what are they? There's kind of alert that pops up. It's like the forest is moving or something like that.
Yeah. So that will happen with other biomes, even if you're not near those biomes. So now we have swamp people coming in, and sometimes I'll be on my own on the server at nighttime because they're all in Ireland asleep, and I'm off in some place, and it'll say the swamp is moving or something, and suddenly a bunch of draugrs and skeletons come out, and I'm like, logging off for the night, like just no, I'm done.
You guys deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah, this place is going to get destroyed if I stay here, whereas I think if I leave the server, it goes asleep, so I'll do that. But yeah, I'm still loving it. It's great.
Somebody else's problem.
Exactly. We're going for boss 4. I think there's 5 so far, and then they're adding in 3 new biomes, I think, over the course of early access. So much game there. Like I've got my money's worth already, so I'm just sort of riding it out and enjoying it as much as I can.
Yeah, like $20 seems like pretty generous for how much there actually is in there.
Yeah. How much have they sold now at this point? Last week was like 5 million.
I haven't seen
5 was the last number I saw.
Let me see if there's been an update since 5. I don't think so. Yeah, that's the 5 is still the most recent headline I see. So
still, jeez,
that's pretty good.
Wild.
In like less than a month. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's nuts. Yeah.
All right. Why don't we move into some news for the week? Because a bunch of stuff happened this morning, and all of a sudden this list of headlines got way longer. But let's take it back to last week first with this report out of Bloomberg about the new Switch.
Yes.
As soon as I, again, navigate their paywall, I can talk more about it. Okay, here we are. So yeah, obviously these rumors about a new Switch model have been swirling for 2 years now or something at this point.
Yes, I guess it has been that long, hasn't it? Jeez.
Originally there was talk that it was going to ship last year, but then some stuff came out that nobody at Nintendo has firm plans about where to go with this, and then the pandemic happened, and I'm sure that pushed it back too. But finally, Bloomberg out of Tokyo has some pretty hard information about what they think is going to happen. The short version is the details they have are 7-inch OLED screen. By contrast, the current Switch, I think, is 6.2 inches.
Okay.
The Switch Lite is 5.5, so that gives you some idea. Kind of a better part of an inch bigger than the current regular Switch model. I think that would probably fit into that same housing just fine, right? Just a smaller bezel. I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, unless they're going to go and make bigger Joy-Cons or have some kind of weird other shape, that's a pretty big bezel. So you could. You got room there.
Yes. Not in production yet. They say they're looking at June to start production on this thing with kind of a release time frame of the end of the year. But, there's no telling how many they'd be able to offer because nobody can make electronics right now. So who knows if that even actually, comes to market.
First, you got to do bronze, and then, you got to get the tin. And
that's right. OLED is way up the tech tree.
Yeah.
Miyamoto has to come down the mountain with all the silver.
Yes.
Got trapped out of the cart.
Yeah.
We're all fucked.
Not a lot of information about the thing I think most people actually care about, which is how much more powerful it would be. It does confirm the idea that the point of this release is to let it do 4K output on a TV.
Oh.
But they don't really get into what that would mean in terms of power inside the actual Switch. So
yeah, I would hope that it would, increase visuals at even lower resolutions, but
you would hope,
or at least frame rates. Yeah.
Frame
rates in particular, I would like to see a 4K resolution on a screen that size is kind of wasted, unless you're outputting in, even if you're outputting to a TV. I don't know, but
they actually,
I just want better frame rates, man. I want more power.
Yes, I'm with you. Same resolution, better frame rate is what I would prioritize. What were you saying, Danny?
Yeah.
Was it 720 they said?
Yeah, so still 720p for the portable screen, even though it would be bigger, which arguably would look worse than the existing screen a little bit. OLED obviously has a lot of advantages over LCD.
Right, yeah. I would take the OLED, that still sounds like an improvement. I
don't think that's a huge difference at all there.
Better battery too, right? On one of those things.
Better battery life with OLED for sure.
Yeah.
They actually weirdly they point out in this story, 720p on the handheld, 4K output on the TV. The quote from this story that kind of surprised me was that could intensify a longstanding complaint of developers who have struggled with the difference in resolution between handheld and TV modes and will now face an even bigger gap between the two.
Yeah.
So now you're having to make games that potentially will look good at 720p and 4K, which is quite a gulf.
I wonder how much of that ends up being some kind of upsampling trick or something. They're not going to fit native 4K.
Yeah, there's zero chance this thing is doing native 4K. There's some kind of upscaling will be going on for sure.
Yeah, so I guess that's still, you still have to think about your UI placement and text size and all that other stuff, even if it's going to upsample to 4K. So that is work, and then you probably still have to account for some number of 1080p users along the way there that don't have a 4K TV, and this. I don't know, man. This sounds weird.
It sounds very, very incremental to me. It does not sound like a profound remaking of the Switch or anything.
Yeah, it sounds almost more like I think you had said this last week, but it does almost sound like the parts we use to make the Switch today are phasing out, and these ones are phasing in. So we get a little bit of a power benefit here, but maybe not You know, it's more like, hey, it's advantageous to us from a business perspective to shift to these parts.
Yeah, they say right in the Bloomberg story that the OLED screens they're going to be using for this thing, the supply chain cost on those things has plummeted over the last few years. Like they suddenly have become very cheap to use, and like that's kind of how Nintendo does things, right? Like they go after the cheap commodity parts that are just like flooding the market, and they're not an aggressive tech company by any means.
The Switch is the McRib of consoles. You know,
Sure.
when the OLED prices and the pork prices go down together, then everything
right.
lines up. You know,
That's when the Switch is back.
Yeah.
when the pork line crosses the demand line, right? Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like people's imaginations always run wild around stuff like this, right? Because like you want your console to be beefy and awesome, but
totally. And you especially, I think Nintendo, like longtime Nintendo fans, do this to themselves like doubly so, because you get that moment like, oh, I can't. Could you imagine what this would look like on hot shit, new latest technology?
Right.
And then like, you get it, and you're like, this looks better. This does look really nice, and like all that stuff looks nice. Like you don't look at like those most recent, you don't look at Bowser's Fury and go like, this looks like shit. Like it looks really nice, but it could, if they threw real power into it, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm not expecting it though. I mean,
no, and they don't need it. Their games, generally speaking, have never needed it. That's always been the story with them. So and they just sold a trillion, not a trillion, but a whole lot of Switches off the back of Animal Crossing's popularity and all that other stuff. So it's not like they get to just like ignore the baseline Switch and only make games for the new Nintendo Switch, which that's what they should call it. Sounds like that's what they should call it, because that's what it sounds like. New Nintendo Switch.
Just like they've done this twice, like in the last 10 years, right? Like the DSi was the third revision of the DS. It was more powerful, and they did nothing with it. They did absolutely. There were like what? There were like 5 DSiWare games that were only on the DSi, and that was it, or something. And then they made the new 3DS, which is like practically the same thing, right? Like there were like a single-digit number of games that only ran on the thing.
like a small number of games that would only run on the new hardware, and then a somewhat larger number that that benefited from it. But really, totally. This just sounds like that all over again, and I don't. That's fine, but not the when people start talking about Switch Pro and the lights start going on, people start thinking about what that means. Like this doesn't sound like that at all.
There's no talk in that article at all about like Joy-Con revisions, right? Nothing about the actual control stuff,
fixing the drift.
No, sadly no. They did speculate that the housing for the Switch will remain unchanged in the story. So probably looks the same with just a smaller bezel and a bigger screen.
2 kickstands.
Because again, like they'd have to throw out all their accessories or come up with a zillion more accessories if the Joy-Cons needed to be taller or something like that, or you would have a weird like like a slightly football shaped thing of the rails from the original Joy-Cons are on the sides and it doesn't quite line up. That'd be weird too. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes. My bet is this thing is a very incremental upgrade to the existing Switch that, just like the last one, right? Like it's like, this runs 5 frames per second faster and the battery life is a little better. Like I think it'll kind of be that again, but maybe they will get more ambitious with it. Who knows?
I hope that they, by the time they get to like, if they ever get back to releasing their big first party games, that those can actually benefit from this in a real way. But I don't know.
Yes.
Weird.
Has there been any word from Nintendo on this? This is all Bloomberg's sort of own reporting.
Yeah. This is all just kind of their behind the scenes stuff.
So who knows? Maybe there's a extra little wrinkle in this we don't know about. But
it's possible. Yeah. It is certainly possible. Yeah.
Built-in Ring Fit controller.
Oh hell yeah! What if it's just a circle this time?
Yeah, and you just press the Switch into your sternum and into your gut, and then everything. Yeah,
it's also a balance board.
Sure, why not?
Stand on it.
Okay. Goodwill update. The balance boards in the Goodwill that I go to every week, they're all gone.
What?
Oh,
they're all gone.
Somebody came in and clear them out?
I don't know if like thrift stores like a Goodwill or a Salvation Army have to like clear their shelves after stuff doesn't move or whatever. But I went in there last week; they were all gone, and I had so much regret.
How many did you buy?
I was really close to buying one. I was really close to buying one.
What was the sticker price again?
Like 10 or 15 per board.
Dang.
Sure.
I turned those around, flipped them.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Some one of those.
someone flip those? Because now I'm going to search eBay Wii Balance Board prices.
I was going to say, that's what happens. You talk about a grip of cheap balance boards. There's a run on
$20.
Can't say
$20
that out loud.
with Wii Fit.
Oh, there was no software with these boards.
Okay, here's one for $14.99 with Wii Fit.
Okay.
But that's not a buy it now. That's an auction. So that'll probably go for more.
How many people are watching it?
0. Yeah, there are a whole lot of balance boards with copies of Wii Fit available. So you could still get in on this, Jan. It's
Buyer's market.
Yeah. Oh, here's a buy it now Wii Fit game with balance board. Buy it now, $8.39.
Wow, that's great. What's the? Is there like $70 for the shipping on that one? Yeah.
Right.
Free 4-day shipping.
Wow.
That's what it says here.
Right.
It's from a Goodwill. So
Okay. All right, there you go.
Is it actually?
yes.
I didn't.
Yeah, Goodwill
They sold,
lists
I
some
didn't know
stuff
they
on
sold
eBay.
stuff on eBay. Weird. That's super weird. Let this
You
be a
have
lesson
that
to
many
you.
balance boards, you have to fucking figure out a way to get rid of them. Every available avenue. You're like, oh, we turn this into
Jan,
TV trays, something?
Yes, sure. Jan, let this be a lesson to you. Carpe balance board.
Every day
That's
for
right.
the rest of my life.
Balance board in the hand. Under the feet is worth 2 in the bush. I don't know. Okay, let's move on. Whole bunch of Bethesda stuff happened because that deal closed. Like that kind of stuff doesn't really make news, but the Bethesda acquisition by Microsoft has like been pending American and European approval all this time since they announced it. Like it wasn't actually official until what was it, yesterday or today?
Today
the close.
This morning is when they made all the announcements. I think it cleared the UK. That might have been yesterday,
right?
Or it cleared the EU. I forget what it was.
Yes,
the Queen said it was okay.
That's right.
Like, just take any focus off of this other stuff. Yes, we're letting this merger happen. Please talk about it.
Yes. So Phil Spencer put up a short blog post on the Xbox Wire, I guess is what they still call that thing, officially welcoming Bethesda to Team Xbox. It's mostly, the pretty kind of high-minded language you would expect about like, the best place to play. And like, but there's like there's two kind of data points or, pieces of actual information in here. I'll just read both of them. With the addition of the Bethesda creative teams, gamers should know that Xbox consoles, PC, and Game Pass will be the best place to experience new Bethesda games, including some new titles in the future that will be exclusive to Xbox and PC players. So, anyone's guess what some new titles means?
Starfield, I bet.
Think
I
so?
would assume it would be damn near most of them.
Right.
Elder Scrolls is the one where you're like, do they do that? Because that's
right. Yeah,
that's the touchy one.
That's-
Whereas like a
that's-
new IP, not so.
Yeah,
bad.
sure. Yes.
I
Way
guess
more likely that for Starfield than than Elder Scrolls 6 for sure. But like once Starfield has been exclusive and then it's years later before Elder Scrolls comes out, like why not just people are used to it at that point, right?
Yeah. And I guess like I was about to say like, hey, those games always ran like shit on PlayStation anyway, but I guess that's the PlayStation 3. Like Skyrim was fine on a PS4.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So-
Yes, it was.
So I guess that's because it's easy to think like, oh well, those were always Xbox thought of as Xbox games before PlayStation games anyway. But maybe that's just lingering PS3
There's
stuff.
definitely more of a connection, right? Like Morrowind.
Oh yeah.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
Morrowind
was
only
on
came out on
Xbox and
the original Xbox. Did Oblivion never came to PS3, did it? Wasn't that 360 only?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't think there was a so like the Xbox has always been like it's like kind of a PC but a console. Like that's
Yeah.
Right.
kind of been Bethesda's bread and butter all along. So, but man, dude, that is that is a shot across the bow against Sony if they go that route. They're not messing around. But then again, $7.5 billion, you cannot afford to mess around.
It's wild. Who's the biggest independent developer now? Because they were like privately owned, not traded on the
Right.
stock exchange. Like,
Oh,
there
you
wasn't-
mean not even publicly traded? Like, I don't even
Yeah,
know.
they,
Epic,
yeah.
right?
I-
I mean,
I guess so.
Nice.
Probably, yeah.
But then
I guess
yeah,
it has to be, yeah. I started to say CD Projekt, but they are public, aren't they?
they are. Yeah, they're public.
Yeah, it's got to be Epic, I guess, at this point.
But then hard to call them an independent. It was a stretch to call Bethesda.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, all
independent
kind of.
developer.
Yeah, it's a weird semantic. Technically, not a public company, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
How
the
much?
other little tip.
How much of the company does Tencent own? That's the line, right?
Yeah,
I think it's a.
it's
We looked this up
15 or
recently.
20.
I think it's a pretty small amount. I forget.
Yeah, it's not that big.
The other little tidbit from this blog post is that he ends it by saying, to properly celebrate this special moment, we are bringing additional Bethesda games into Xbox Game Pass later this week.
Ooh, wet. Here we go.
That's right.
Finally.
Rogue Warrior on there. Finally, everyone can experience
Wayne
the magic.
Gretzky hockey.
Is that a Bethesda game?
Oh yeah,
Was the Terminator? Was the 90s Terminator game they made? Future Shock, right?
Future Shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
a proto Fallout 3, if you will, a post-apocalyptic first-person shooter.
Sure.
That was.
Sure, why not? So that happened. They put that stuff out officially this morning. Late yesterday, also Jeff Grubb at VentureBeat reported that there's going to be some kind of messaging going out from Microsoft and Bethesda tomorrow to answer questions about this merger.
I don't. What is there?
Yeah, I don't know. This is fairly. The information about this is fairly vague. It sounded like a live stream, a video presentation is the wording that he used in the story. There will be a video presentation on Thursday, March 11th, to start answering questions about what all this means. So
it means
yeah, I don't know.
The
maybe
games will come to Game Pass, and then
Right,
some of them will come to other platforms, but most of them probably shouldn't. Like,
yeah,
I maybe they're just sensitive because I think like the reaction to the acquisition has been like, I think that question of like exclusivity has dogged them a lot in a way that I just kind of look at as like, yeah, they should do that. Like what, like, yeah, put Deathloop out on PlayStation or whatever, but like, come on. They bought them. It's still coming to PC, which I don't, that seems like the, I don't know. It's weird.
yeah. Weird. I mean, who knows? Maybe they threw this blog post together by Phil Spencer in reaction to the story getting reported. maybe those are the questions they would have answered tomorrow.
Sure.
Is the stuff he wrote in this post this morning. Maybe they're still going to do it. Who knows? We will see. They have not announced anything as of yet. But
Did they do an E3 thing last year?
Bethesda?
I don't
I kinda
think
remember.
so. I don't
They
think so.
held
No,
off.
they can't. In fact, I think they were one of the first ones to come out and say, "Hey, we are not doing anything in that time frame." Right?
So I wonder if it's just an
sounds
opportunity
right.
to get out as well, to, say this is what we're working on, and this is what was coming
Yeah,
out, or whatever.
maybe some more clarity on timelines for some stuff. I don't know.
It doesn't seem like they would go focus, like that they would do this and then focus on games, like no new
Probably
presentation on software, but like,
Yeah.
that's why it's weird to like the idea of a video presentation. Like, are they just gonna like do a split screen with Phil Spencer and whoever? I guess like, I feel like my questions about that stuff are all like just weird internal stuff about like, does Bethesda still control all of those studios, or do those studios just get split up and put into the Microsoft system? Because they own a lot of other teams. It's not just BGS.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
he
others.
lists in this blog post. It's BGS, id Software, ZeniMax Online Studios, which is what, Elder Scrolls Online, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog, and Roundhouse Studios.
Yeah. So like, does Machine Games still report in through some kind of weird arm of Bethesda, or do they just say, "Oh, now you're another Microsoft studio"?
I mean, it says in this
something like
blog post, it's vitally important that Bethesda continues to make games the way it always has. We look forward to empowering Bethesda's creative teams to reach even more players around them. But of course, you say that. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
of course, that is the
But there's
messaging.
also-
That doesn't mean that there aren't like suddenly Microsoft producers also involved in those games. Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder.
Right. It's just like, what's the most efficient way for that team to operate is probably the actual answer, right? And maybe short term, that's like, hey, we're not going to touch anything, but hey, maybe eventually we don't need this full separate organization. And I have to imagine, I would have to imagine there's some redundancy there, right? I mean, they don't really need a publishing arm for Bethesda anymore because Microsoft can certainly handle that. maybe they absorb all those people. Maybe they have the openings or whatever. But
Yeah,
we will see.
Stuff to say. Yeah.
They're all back together again. Obsidian, Bethesda,
That's right.
Black Isle, Fargo's crowd.
Yeah,
they're all there.
Yeah.
In Exile. Yeah, like that
In
whole
Exile,
thing.
Yeah,
That whole
Weird.
thing. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All those people
Who's
that made
making
all
a new
those
Fallout?
RPGs.
Who's
that you
making
love.
the next
Yeah,
New
right.
Vegas?
Right. Right.
So strange. So strange.
I mean, Obsidian like just went and announced their big sprawling new first-person fantasy RPG, you know, like right before all this happened. So like, some overlap there, but who knows?
And with the amount of time between Elder Scrolls games, like that still works, right?
Yes, for sure. Yes, absolutely. Also, I don't know. I just threw this in here for shits and giggles. Microsoft's Doom 3 VR edition has been announced for PlayStation VR.
Okay.
So wait, coming at the end of the month, Doom 3 on the PS4.
That
in
is the
VR.
most id Software announcement of all time. They
Totally.
love
Yeah, it's like
Doom
there's like
3, and they love VR.
a ghost of John Carmack suddenly reappeared in the studio to make all that happen somehow. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. This is probably something that was in motion way before the Bethesda acquisition actually happened. So they got to make good on all that stuff.
Still the best touchscreens in video games.
They're pretty good. They're not bad.
Menu.
You know, the computer interfaces in that game are one of the better things about that game. I would say.
I occasionally think about going back and trying to play Doom 3 again because I had such a sour time with that game when it came out that even after you modded it to have the flashlight on the gun or like all that stuff was just like it's Doom 3 is still kind of bad, right?
I kind of want to try this VR version because I liked Doom 3 and mostly because of the atmosphere, which is the thing that VR is good at.
Right? Yeah.
How weird must that game feel post like Eternal in 2016? I don't think I've played it since those games.
Right. I've fired it up here and there to mess around with like console stuff and just mod type things and like parts of it maybe don't hold up super well, but
yeah.
Did you guys see the statement from Victura, the publisher of 6 Days in Fallujah, about the politics of 6 Days in Fallujah?
I thought there weren't any.
No.
We're looking through the source code. We found all these politics in here. I guess we're just going to leave it in.
Yeah.
You guys seem to want that. I don't know.
It's just like, when did all that happen? Because it's so weird that this happened. Like the statement came out like yesterday, like 3 weeks or something after this all blew up. In which they say, we understand the events recreated in 6 Days in Fallujah are inseparable from politics. Is the first line of this.
Geez.
Who knew?
And then they say, here's how the game gives voice to a variety of perspectives. And it's about we tell the story through both gameplay and documentary footage. And they say that they have spoken to 26 Iraqi civilians and dozens of service members who they interviewed and include in the game. While we do not allow players to use white phosphorus as a weapon during gameplay, its use is described during the documentary segments.
Okay.
So
just a bunch of people saying, I didn't see any.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I feel like the interview that the head of that Peter Tamty guy was given was just like, well, those just aren't the stories we heard. Seemed to be the quote from him. Yeah. So to suddenly be like, oh yeah, its use is described here. Did you just find
that stuff?
Was he wrong? Was that stuff going to get cut out and now they're putting it in because they realize that oh God, people don't seem to like what we're doing? But I don't.
That's why you need a PR department.
That's right.
Yeah. Situations like this.
Or just like some kind of gut check before you decide to take on this project at all, I guess. Again, the long list of things that that guy has done for parts of the U.S. government to then have this project. It's just weird. Fuck, man.
Yes. I mean,
ridiculous.
They're right about one thing. The last line of the statement is, we trust you will find the game, like the events it recreates, to be complex.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we will see.
Yeah.
Nothing was
that's out there. Yes.
Gross. Just gross.
I don't know how I feel about every statement from every studio just being a JPEG on Twitter these days. Is that just how
Is
things
this one
work now?
yellow?
No, this one's
No,
red.
it's
Oh no,
different.
so the Victoria one is like a, I don't know, kind of a dingy blue, I guess I would say.
Yeah, like a smoky background.
Yeah, like a slate.
Yeah,
But this one
okay.
from Arc System Works is like an angry red,
Fuck yeah, it is.
in which they say that they are pushing Guilty Gear Strive to June so they can fix the lobbies. Well,
They've been listening. Good.
excuse me, polish some aspects of the game, such as the online lobbies.
Right.
So
they're gonna
Let's hope
add.
they just completely rip them out and start from scratch. I don't think they can do that in 2 months.
in the space of yes,
but-
2-3 months might be a little. Might be a little.
But how do
much,
they
yes.
fix this? I mean, they just add like a menu-based system, like on top of this, whatever the hell it was.
That could work.
Just ramshackle, tiny towers looking. Ugh, gross
like,
stuff.
I don't know. I have zero faith in this because, like, look at their track record of what they've done with lobbies, and they've. They didn't say we're taking them out. They just said we're going to polish some aspects of the game, such as the online lobbies.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. They just they
right.
put some kind of Band-Aid on this, and I think that the way that they get around this is to add just a completely menu-based system on top of what they already have with this dumb lobby system, this visual lobby. Now, the previous lobbies they're okay, they're fine, they were functional for sure. They were superfluous, but they worked, and they got you what you needed. But this was not adding up to what we needed. It was just confusing, and it doesn't look good. I don't like it.
It had a style to it, but also that style, like, to me, it felt like it was just often like zoomed in too far, so you just didn't know where the other players were to go challenge them. So,
right,
which makes me worry. They're just gonna we have zoomed out the camera. All right, get ready, and that's the only fix, right? So it's
right,
yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Could it be as simple as just as I'm letting you do rematches and stuff like that? Would that be enough?
Well, yeah, that would be a huge help, and you would assume that they're going to have that stuff in there. Like, I don't know why it wasn't in the, in the beta. People, you can argue that they wanted to get a wide swath of people playing other people, but it didn't leave a good impression. Like, just to have that option not even be there was little unsettling. Anyway, I'm glad.
I don't need a visual lobby. I
I
don't need a visual lobby at all. They should.
I like a visual lobby. I think they're kind of cool, but I want that mandate of being able to use just a menu as well. I like seeing everybody's avatars and stuff and running around and sitting at arcade cabinets. That's cute. Maybe they're fishing for stuff.
It's cute,
Whatever.
Jeff.
It's cute.
It is. It is cute. You're right.
Cute.
It is cute.
It's a good chibi. It's a good chibi.
Yeah.
But don't have that be the only option.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want to fight.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to fight.
They're listening. They're listening.
We heard. They heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing.
We
the
understand that the events of Guilty Gear Strife are inseparable from politics.
thing. Yep.
Heaven and hell are real. They both are ready to let's rock.
Both sides.
The beasts are back.
Yes. I meant to mention this earlier in the Xbox stuff. This just kind of started going around this morning. Then I threw it in there last minute. But the new test version of Edge on the Xbox, the web browser, this new version is based on Chromium.
Mhm.
Apparently can do.
Chromio?
What's that?
Chromio? Are we talking about
Chromio.
Life in Daryl's house
Yeah.
again?
Mhm.
That's right. Yes. Edge Chromio. Is it going to let you do Steam streaming on an Xbox?
Oh,
And I believe looks like GeForce Now as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so GeForce Now and Steam streaming looks like both are going to work in this new version of Edge on an Xbox. But that's only in like the the fast ring, like whatever the super bleeding edge test version of the dashboard
I believe that is the fast ring. I believe yes.
at the moment. So like the question is, do they leave that in for release? Do you think they arbitrarily shut that off before it goes out to everybody?
I don't see why they would. I don't. This doesn't seem like a problem. Like I don't know. I mean, it would be as simple as just like not allowing a web browser to like take control of the controller, right? I mean, that's probably how you would shut that off.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I think you have to use a controller just for navigation, so that might get tricky.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how they would disallow that stuff. And the Xbox has weirdly also gone from like the most closed system out there to like kind of just a fuck it, anything goes kind of situation in the last few years.
Right. I mean, they have their limits about what they'll put on the store, right? You know, and but even that, there's like the RetroArch situation is really strange.
That's the one that I keep thinking about. Yes, like
because you can obviously, you know, hey, all Xbox Series X's are dev kits the same way all Xbox Ones were, and you can flip it over to dev mode and
was it like $30 or something to
20
turn
or
dev?
Something.
It's very low fee. It's not that hard. Like there was a run on the Series S when it came out, like for the price to performance for emulation on the Series S was like huge. Like people were like, dude, this thing runs GameCube games at full speed.
Yeah,
let's all just buy Series S's and turn them into RetroArch boxes and play every video game ever on them.
Yeah, but you end up in a weird situation. So I guess like when you're in dev mode, it seems like you don't have full access to the console. So like dev mode installations are going to be a little less capable than retail mode installations, and so you have people that have gone and created. So if you the extra step is you go and compile RetroArch and then you upload it to the Microsoft Store as a private unlisted thing, and then you go on Reddit and say, send me $20 and I will send you a key to my private app before they shut it down. And so like there's been this weird, the impression I get, I haven't jumped through these hoops because I just don't, it's whatever. But it seems like there's almost a little bit of whack-a-mole going on where you've got people that are doing this as like, oh, here's my beta version of the app I'm working on that someday maybe I'll sell on the Microsoft Store and I can let people in, almost like a Apple test flight kind of situation. And they're letting people into the retail version of RetroArch that way without you having to go and compile it and stuff like that. And then those eventually get shut down, and then someone else does it, and then that gets shut down, and someone else does it. So I think that Microsoft is kind of taking a slight stand on what they. I mean, yeah, obviously they're taking a stand about what they put on their own store, but there are enough weird end runs around it between dev mode and this other stuff that. I don't know. I don't see them blocking the browser. Maybe, but like they eventually want to put Game Pass streaming onto the console as well. So maybe they could just do that through the browser. That'd be the fast way to do that.
Sure. What's the weirdest use case? What's the weirdest game you could play through this feasibly? Like, is it all? Is like you can't do like World of Warcraft couldn't run through this thing, right? Like,
no. I don't.
Well, I mean, because what is GeForce Now is just Steam games, is that right?
Is it just Steam? Okay.
Yes, it's a subset of Steam games. It is tied to your Steam account, and it's
nothing outside of Steam, right?
So
exactly. Actually, it might have Epic stuff. Now that I think about it, they may have some number of Epic games on GeForce Now. I'm not. Horizon is not on the list, if I remember correctly.
Death Stranding?
Death Stranding is available.
Is explicitly mentioned in this VGC story that I read. Yes, you can stream Death Stranding to an Xbox.
You could play Loop Hero. I don't know if that has any controller support, but it does on GeForce Now.
Oh, actually, no, it does. Sorry.
Could you play Steam multiplayer shooter of the week Soviet hentai?
I'm gonna look
for a cool 74 cents.
I can click this button, request to add game, and it sends me to their message boards. I'm not going to post a thread. Come on.
I mean, how bad do you want it?
Into Google and nothing came up. Literally.
Yeah.
Maybe the game was removed from Steam since our production meeting yesterday morning.
Yeah, there's sorry, no Soviet hentai. But you can play the PC version of Marvel's Avengers.
Frog Fractions.
That's maybe one of the weirder ones. Is like there are a lot of games that you could play the PC version of on your Xbox that could also theoretically run that game, like Cyberpunk or something like that.
Oh yeah, that look better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Is Frog Fractions on? I do not see Frog Fractions on the list. That's
Quake 3.
Sure.
Quake 2 RTX.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, right. Because you can the paid tier gives you RTX support.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but they have Uplay and Epic support to some extent on GeForce Now as well. I've been meaning to check this out. It sounds like it's works fine. As a part of me needing to cancel my Luna subscription, I should sign up for another cloud streaming service that I will barely ever use.
Gotta have one. I've got this PlayStation Now subscription just sitting here,
How's that working out?
ready for me to forget about it.
As long as you're
Constantly.
ready, that's all that matters.
That's right. Can play. I mean, I also hooked my PS3 back up though, so I can play Metal Gear Solid 4 any way I want, at the drop of a hat.
Vib Ribbon.
Yes.
So Vib Ribbon is a game you could play on an Xbox via RetroArch. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Because
That's
it'll
true.
play PS1 games
It's true.
quite well, I assume.
Like Metroid Prime is the game I kept seeing everybody saying, like, hey, look at the Series S and how well it runs emulated games. Like everybody was doing that for some reason.
Yeah.
Another kind of a weird one. But yeah. It's the Wild West over there. Yeah. This story came out of GamesBeat this morning. Did anybody else see this news about Paragon?
Yes, I saw this a couple days ago. I feel like this went around in some like, hey, they're looking to do it, but maybe this is the official like, no, we are legit straight up doing it.
Yeah, I think this was probably the sort of confirmation that they were successful. That the part I had missed until just now, and when I looked over this, was this effort was orchestrated by a Paragon streamer and influencer who has now like kind of launched a community effort to raise $2.2 million to resurrect Paragon.
Sure.
Cool.
I'm not sure I'm not sure exactly how the ins and outs of all the business are going to work there, because did they just put the Paragon assets into the public domain? I'm not sure how that worked, but they basically made them free, right?
I mean, I imagine there's probably some restriction around you must use them with the Unreal Engine. I actually don't know what license they put that stuff out under, but when Paragon shut down, they did say, hey, we're adding all these assets to
maybe they put them in the Epic Store. Is that what it was? Like, or the Unreal Store or whatever their kind of developer
store
asset pipeline is. But yeah, they're not going to call it Paragon
now, right?
Yes, now it's called Predecessor.
Yeah,
which probably a legal thing as much as anything, I guess. But yeah, like sounds like they're serious about this. Like I said, they raised money. They have a team. They are going to get going on turning those assets into a new game. Omeda Studios is the name of the team they have formed to bring this thing back.
Huh. I wonder.
It's a weird outcome for Paragon.
I feel like if I would go ahead.
Do you think there's a market outside of Paragon fans who probably helped crowdfund this?
No, because they would have been playing it last time, right? Like, like they would have. It would have been more successful then. But but part of that is like Epic going like, hey, the time it takes us to work on this is time we could be spending counting our Fortnite money, and so it just kind of got caught up in that.
Yeah,
but
was like everything else they did.
All hands on deck.
I feel like if I were Epic, I would probably say to these people, here is all the tech. Also, like whatever is not out there, just like here's Paragon. Like here, like go with God. Like you have our blessing to do this, because I think it will be good for us in a weird way to say like, oh, hey, here's like we found a way to get Paragon back out there for the fans who want it, and that's like a hearts and minds win for them, right? Totally. So make it an Epic Store exclusive or something as part of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And find a way to get back on consoles. Why not? At that point, like, hey, step in and help out. That'd be a cool thing to do for video games, to just like help this team out to make it happen.
This is basically what they wanted to happen with Unreal Tournament. Do you remember when they did that beta and they were like, we're going to do it with the fans and you're going to help us make this whole thing? And then like it died on its arse, right? Because it just wasn't enough people involved. And like it's
fans
so
were
funny
still
that
playing old UT.
UT 2004. They're all playing Rocket League now because
right.
They did all the Onslaught cars. Like it's very funny that Paragon ended up being the one that had all this attachment to it. But I kind of hope for their sake that it does have a market outside of it. Like, I don't begrudge them. I think it's an amazing story, but that's my concern, because that was the concern over Paragon when it first came out. Is that nobody said that game wasn't good. It was a well-made game.
It was like surprisingly cool for an action MOBA, for like a MOBA that they tried to kind of cram into a different genre. Like, probably the best one of those I've seen. Like, it looked really nice. It had some interesting ideas. It played well.
I think I enjoyed it. I got more out of it than Smite or any of the other games that were trying to do that action MOBA thing in that time frame. Like, Paragon seemed like the one that was like, oh, this actually seems kind of cool.
Yeah, it's neat for sure. Let's see. 2 more quick stories. Sadly, it seems that some layoffs, perhaps significant layoffs, have hit Hardsuit Labs after the kind of change in direction for the new Vampire the Masquerade game a 3 weeks ago. It's not super clear exactly how many people were cut, but multiple people who lost their jobs posted on Twitter about it. Like, some kind of suggested that maybe the entire narrative team was let go. And then, I think Hardsuit said that they tried to find opportunities to keep those people employed, but they were not able to do so. So they had to, unfortunately, cut their jobs, which, rough outcome. Not super surprising after the way that went down, but still, super sucks for those people.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this other than it continues to sound like a mess.
Yeah. Like, it'd be one thing if the game was, technically having issues or gameplay wise, they couldn't find the fun. But the one thing, especially when they had Mitsoda sort of being pushed out in front of the cameras, you think the one thing that Hardsuit had in its pocket was the fact that they were going to nail the sort of very particular narrative flavors of a Bloodlines game. But when you see all this, it's like, well, okay, well, that's also apparently was part of, the publisher had problems with that too. It kind of looks like, if they're getting rid of all these people, like, what's left?
Yeah,
it's going to be very interesting to see what that game ends up looking like. But
and when, for that matter.
It just feels like there's some like missing chunk of information here about like, someone was a nightmare person in the middle of all this, and this, you had to flush a lot of work down the toilet. Just some bad thing happened behind the scenes or something. But I don't.
Yeah.
Get try around.
Yes. Probably in the works, if I had to guess. I don't know. Seems likely. V1, the developer of Disintegration, also shut down yesterday. They announced that they were ceasing operations. That game is less than a year old.
Wow.
Yeah, and they had shut down multiplayer in that game. Was that late last year when they finally took it offline? I know they announced it and gave it a few months to kind of wind it down. But if you went and looked at the Twitter accounts for V1 and for Disintegration, it was like the only updates were, hey, next month this game's going offline. Like, didn't seem like there was much else going on. That game doesn't seem like a weird game to put out in this day and age. Like, I played the open beta and try to get into the multiplayer there, and I never seemed all that engaging, and so it never seemed like a game that would find an audience. So I guess I wasn't surprised when they went to shut down the multiplayer. But then for people don't remember, this was like on a hover bike, and there's kind of like RTS type like stuff RTS, where you're ordering a squad around to kind of go do stuff, and all of that stuff felt like it just took a little too much time. The hover bike controls never felt great to me either. Like, it just, across the board, it seemed like a game that had some ideas, but just didn't really execute any of them all that well.
Was it announced and released at the same? Because this was a Private Division.
It was,
as well. Yeah. So it had a decent backing behind it.
It might have been like I forget, but it wasn't quite announced and released. But I think it was announced, and it did not rise. It didn't rise above the noise of the internet, and then they eventually put that beta out, and then the game was kind of out not long after that.
It's got 146 reviews on Steam, if that's any indication.
That's yeah, man.
rough.
It's tough
Rough out there.
market. Tough
Yeah.
market out there for a multiplayer game for sure.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, on that note, I guess there are now permanently 2 versions of Artifact, and that's how it's going to stay. because Valve has,
That's double the artifact you thought you were getting. This is the best news of the year.
and they're both free. They're both 100% free.
What? This news gets
We
better?
We now have both Artifact Classic, which is the original Artifact that they put out. Artifact is the Dota card game, just in case anybody has forgotten. The original game will continue to exist as Artifact Classic. They've pulled all the microtransaction stuff out of the game.
Oh,
It is going to be free. Like anybody can just get it and play it now on Steam. People who did put money into it, they're going to basically, it sounds like, turn their cards into like special gold foil versions of the cards to signify that they paid money.
And you can put those on the marketplace. And
Yes. So I believe if I'm reading this right, they are turning off all the marketplace support other than that. Those are the only things that can be sold now. Is that right?
yeah, you can't buy packs of cards or anything. You're just going to have access to all the cards, but they'll be dumb looking gray versions unless you pay money for the game, and then you get the fun.
You can sell your special Founders Edition cards if you like.
Non-fungible.
Yes, that's right. Non-fungible cards.
Still got to sell my Sam and Max gun for TF2.
Still
Got your AirPods.
I still get a message about those earbuds every once in a while. The other half of this announcement is a little more confusing. So the new version of Artifact they've been working on is now called Artifact Foundry. It's also out. It's also free. Just free, like no microtransactions. The wording around it is a little strange. Technically, Artifact Foundry remains an unfinished product, but most of what's missing is polish and art. The core gameplay is all there, while both games will remain playable. We don't plan to ship any further gameplay updates, so no more gameplay updates to Artifact Foundry, but they also say there's like some art missing. Are they putting that in? Probably not.
It says the I mean, they refer to it as the final release of Artifact Foundry.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All final card art that was in the pipeline is now in the game, which sounds like they maybe have some non-final art they're not putting in, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that they just
doesn't sound like they're going to go finish that.
They just never got around to, and they just will not at this point. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird to get it that close and then not quite over the line, but whatever. As long as that weird hand-drawn MS Paint version of Sand King is still in there, I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is a case of like them saying, "Hey, like maybe we don't need these people working on Artifact. We've got other stuff that will make us more money, so we're gonna find a way to do right by Artifact while also not spending any more money on it." I mean, that's right.
Which is just give it away, I guess.
Put away here,
give it all away. Artifact for everybody. Yes.
Is this the fastest classic in video game history? A game that came out in 2018.
Gosh,
probably.
Yeah, that's. Yikes.
Yeah. Now, hey, like it's kind of hard to argue with free. Everything's just free now. You just go play it.
I suspect they didn't necessarily lose any staff members as a result of this. Those people probably all just rolled on to some other Valve project that'll never see the light of day, or Dota updates, or both.
These are actually both. There's only one product page on Steam called Artifact, and both versions of this are there.
Oh,
there
weird.
are two different install game buttons on that same product page. Play Artifact Foundry, play Artifact Classic. So that's kind of an interesting setup. Recent user reviews mostly negative.
Oh,
so this is how Artifact will stay forevermore.
Just pile more devs on the Half-Life 3
That's right.
team. Just keep adding them.
That's right. That's definitely happening, right?
Who knows?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
They got it, right?
But it's a card game.
I'll take anything, Jeff. I'll take. If
really,
it's a non-fungible token, I will be the one to get it.
Didn't you
really
just go read the story that was that Laidlaw that put out the hey, here's
Pistol
the
3?
text
Yeah,
dump.
man, you want to hear
that?
Do you want to hear the fate of the Borealis? You can.
Yeah, but you need to complete Half-Life Alyx because all that's out the window now.
Huh.
Oh.
They've reset. They've reset everything.
waited until he left the company and then just destroyed all of his work, huh?
Oh, you could
Now we can make the real Half-Life
have to
3.
see the end of Half-Life Alex. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay, but also, what if I don't remember a damn thing about Half-Life other than this guy put on a suit and shit went weird?
That is essentially the story of the first game. You're not wrong. Yeah. And the second one's kind of like, oh damn, we got to make a story out of that.
Yeah, like it's still weird. And then I got to try to figure out a way to make this gnome stick to this go-kart so I can drive it across this area to get this achievement, right? That's the story. That's the real story of Half-Life.
Also, this weird astral villain we came up with made a whole lot more sense when the X-Files was still something people remembered.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Control is now the cultural touchstone for the G-Man.
Yeah.
That's right, for sure. All right, that's it for the
No,
news.
no, it's not.
What?
No, it's
God
not.
damn it! I'm sorry.
No, it's not. I can't
forgot.
believe y'all missed this
forgot.
last week. It was probably the
apologize.
biggest story, y'all.
I did look at it last week, and I was like, man, I wish Jan was here to talk about this.
Pokemon's 25th anniversary was last week, and folks, the rumors were right. We are finally getting that damn Diamond and Pearl remake. We're getting Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond, baby. My favorite gen coming back. They're redoing it. It's supposed to be a faithful remake, and I don't know if I want a faithful remake, but I'll fucking play it again. I'll play it again.
Who's the best Pokemon in that generation of Pokemon?
Oh.
The best new one
Oh,
from that, or new to that generation.
my brain says Garchomp because it's a dragon and ground type, but my heart says Bidoof because it's a cute little beaver.
I do like Bidoof.
Bidoof.
Okay.
It's also fun to say. Bidoof.
Yeah.
Bidoof.
But on top of that, we're getting Pokemon Legends. I want to say it as Arceus, but apparently it's pronounced Arceus. And it's supposed. They showed a little bit of footage from it, and it looks like a Breath of the Wild style Pokemon game.
Wild style Pokemon games, finally.
Wild style.
It doesn't look super amazing just yet. It's supposed to be very early in development, but it's apparently like feudal Pokemon. But somehow you still have the technology of Pokeballs. But it's supposed to be all open world. It doesn't look like you're set to like set paths going from town to town anymore. It looks like you can just roll up on Pokemon and roll up on wherever and catch away.
Oh,
There was
boy.
also a Bidoof in that footage too. So, probably going to be
All
a
right.
10 out of 10.
Bedoofing all over the place.
I will
I saw
gladly
the
Bidoof everywhere.
I saw the comparison going around on Twitter. They straight up recreated that shot from the Breath of the Wild trailer of the kind of fast over the shoulder zoom onto the landscape kind of thing. Like they really seem to be going for that.
Yeah.
Give the
Dirty
people
trick.
what they want.
I mean, if
I
you
guess.
wind up like instead of climbing up cliffs, actually using your Pokemon for traversal, that would be cool. That's
Sure.
something neat that they could add. I don't want to get my hopes up too high because the wild out I forget what it was called. The wild area in Sword and Shield looked real muddy after a while.
Yeah, the footage I saw this also did not look amazing, especially with that side by side with Zelda. Like I was like,
Yeah.
But
Apparently, it's still Game Freak doing it, so who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm
What did-
really pumped for the Diamond and Pearl
okay.
remake.
I was going to ask, what is your happiness level?
Oh, Diamond and Pearl, baby, all the way. That's like the good kind of chibi right there. Like the chibi meter is like back to like good there. Yeah, excited.
All right, cautiously excited.
Cautiously excited. Also, Post
after last
Malone had a
night.
Pokemon concert.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cowboys made him cry.
Yeah.
Did that take place in Fortnite? Like what?
No,
What?
Yeah.
No,
Pokemon
it's-
concerts in Fortnite.
It's just
No,
like
it's-
just a music video. He's riding around in a bubble or a piece of land.
What's Post
Barely
Malone's favorite
moving.
Pokemon?
Yeah,
What's Post Malone's favorite Pokemon?
Yeah.
Trubbish.
I'm gonna say probably
More of a
still
Garbodor
coughing
guy.
somehow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wheezing maybe.
Yeah. What Pokemon resembles like a not a Coors Light, but like a Bud Light the most?
Hmm.
It'll happen. Give them time.
There's a
So I was
bug
thinking like
snack
the
called
bow tie logo, like
Spider-Man.
the magnet flying dude.
Oh, yeah,
is
sure.
Not entirely unlike.
But like a rusty
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a broken one, a very sick one.
Yeah.
All right.
Still
Well,
chugging along.
you know the rules. As soon as Post Malone comes up, that's the end of the news.
Damn it.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you for that. All right. We're going to go to one more break here before we dig into some emails. Stick around. We'll see you on the other side. Emails, we got those. Podcast at giantbomb.com. I know we got to read these emails, but all I can think about is a roast beef sandwich.
Right.
Delicious.
I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those places in forever, though.
I know. Every time we go down to Florida to stay with the in-laws, I make nearly daily trips.
Wow, that's
It's
your go-to, huh? That's your fast food. You can't get in here.
There's
so
one up
you-
here. There's
Yeah,
one-
because I don't have them around here.
I don't think I've ever been to one.
Yes.
Malice
roast
is the
beef.
other game I always think of after I think about Darkened Sky. Malice, the Gwen Stefani platformer.
Malice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the
Argonaut,
lead character was
Malice.
like
Gwen Stefani.
Yes, Gwen Stefani did the voice
like-
of Malice.
it was like
I
designed
probably-
after her, kind of.
I probably knew that at one point. Who made that?
Yeah. Argonaut made that.
PS2 era. Okay, sure.
Mm,
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
right. Of course. Yes. Yes. I instantly recognize it when I see this character.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address. Of course, we're going to start with a question from Josh in the UK, the question that's on everybody's minds. How do you feel about non-fungible tokens seemingly taking over the world? It's music's turn now. Apparently, I saw that Kings of Leon are releasing an NFT version of their next album with exclusive artwork. And literally minutes later, I saw an NFT auction for another band I follow. I don't really understand how they work, but the word fungible is at least fun to say.
Fungible.
Works
Can't
Yeah,
say
it's-
fungible, but have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This,
Is it really as simple as like the tying into the blockchain to make the distribution of this material like exclusive or limited? Is that all it is?
Yes, and so it's the idea of like you can attach it to anything. The thing that's been going around lately is just like here's animated GIFs on the blockchain, but like it's really just a number that you are buying and claiming it's worth something. The NBA Top Shot thing is the thing that is actually probably the think about it like a digital trading card. It's a way for you to verify authenticity and a way for you to say that yes, you actually own this thing instead of just downloading a JPEG. If you think that has value, and apparently a lot of people do, but like it's sick. It's sick. There's
Well, the question I have is it possible to still just send that JPEG to whoever?
yes.
Or
Fucking
they
JPEG.
don't have, right, but what I mean is like they don't have to authenticate into the blockchain as well to open it or any weird shit like that. Like you just get the file.
Like that's the thing. It's just there's
'Cause
no.
I'm trying to establish exactly how pointless this is, and if
All
that
the
is the
way.
case, then it is 100% pointless.
Yeah, the non-pointless part is that if you go to the the value of some of this stuff, basically it's like, hey, do you want to pay okay, here's a J. Rue Holiday assist. It's an animated GIF of it's a video, it looks like. Save video as. This is an MP4 I'm downloading. It's on my desktop, and I didn't have to pay $88,000 for it.
Yeah, but you own it, Jeff.
I own as much of it as I need to. And I'm opening it in VLC, and boy, that sure looks like the exact same thing that's over there. But like, obviously, you could say the same thing about baseball cards and all that other stuff. As someone who has downloaded full JPEG runs of like Garbage Pail Kids and all this other stuff just to look at them and go, yeah, whatever. But this world we've gotten ourselves into
It's bad.
is bad, and so you see a lot of artists that are trying to like say like, I'm gonna authenticate and sell. It's almost like you're and fucking tweets. There's a marketplace for fucking tweets. You can say, I want to tokenize this tweet and sell it on the blockchain.
Cool.
And so, like, the fucking site that is doing that, I was looking at this last night and fucking getting extremely angry. Browse. Okay. Offers. Greatest offer. Someone has apparently offered. What is that? How many zeros is that? That's $2.5 million to own Jack Dorsey's first tweet. And then, okay, here's a telling thing. If you go to this site that sells tweets and you look at the largest, the highest price offers, a lot of them are for Elon Musk tweets.
Great.
Like, if you want to see the sort of person that is engaging in this shit, it's the people that are like, I want to own this Elon Musk tweet.
I mean, I assumed that went without saying.
Did you see the one that soured my stomach the most was you can buy, and they've been going for millions or at least hundreds of thousands, video clips of Jake Paul reacting to opening Pokemon cards.
Yeah, that was my first exposure to this whole thing.
Yeah,
was that exact thing.
But as sick as that is, how much do you think you guys would get for blinking white guy?
I mean,
who? I guess
I
we
don't know.
there you go. Own that? I guess he didn't retain any ownership of. I don't know.
There you go.
we did.
Not to do my boy dirty. Not to
I mean,
you know.
I believe we licensed it to Anheuser-Busch for a Super Bowl ad.
Yeah, I had to find a high res of that.
Oh my god!
Business Dave and
I've
I
had to
were.
cut it up for a couple companies too. Yeah.
What else you guys got? Just think what you.
But you're not. That's not the genuine gift. That's not the gift that
Yeah,
changed the world.
it's
Though. Are you?
Do you want the rights to You Can't Beat 100%?
As far as I'm concerned, I already have them.
Yeah. Just think, guys. Just think.
Yeah.
Every review you've ever done, you could turn into a token. Every moment, you could just sell E3 live shows. Every quick look. Don Bradman. How much is Don Bradman worth on the blockchain, Jeff?
Don Bradman on the blockchain. Look, if I hadn't gone the route of getting married and having children and developing some sort of investment in the continued existence of the planet,
Burn it all.
and yeah, man, fuck it. Let's put this on the blockchain. Set some more trees on fire. Let's burn another forest down because I wanted to make sure that this got on the blockchain. Put these tweets up in there. Yeah, it's fucked. It's like I don't. How do you stop it? Is the question I keep looking at, because it is designed to be this decentralized thing, and so it's like, I have these such conflicted feelings. That, like, there's a part of me that's like, some government needs to step in and stop this, but I'm like, I don't know if I want the government stepping in to stop much of anything. This can't continue, though.
Too late for that.
It's so bad.
sorry to tell
It's
you.
the worst thing the internet's done so far, I think.
It's probably this week. You are probably right. This probably is the.
We have lost control of all of this shit. I don't know what to say.
This probably is the worst thing. You're right. This probably is the worst thing the internet has done so far.
It's up there. I don't know if I'd go that far.
But this has global.
I think abetting the international resurgence of fascism is probably worse, but this is definitely up there.
Pretty bad.
I might argue that would have happened anyway.
Climate crisis will outlive fascism.
The climate crisis will kill the
outlive us all.
fascists.
Well, that's one silver lining of the impending.
Maybe I'm going to side
of
with
the
the
universe as
climate.
well.
Yeah. Get rid of that. It fucking sucks. This sucks. This sucks shit. This is shit. It's fucked.
Yes.
I don't know what. I don't know what to do about it. I feel so. I look at it and I feel helpless. Of just like, this has to.
Remember when the internet was like a cool thing that was going to be like, you know,
when it was like hippies and it was like power to the people and it was like information wants to be free, baby. And now people are like, no, this is my animated gift. Get fucked, you shit bags.
What's the EFF up to? Like, let's go back to the well.
Yeah, the commodification of the internet. The fact that like people are like so jazzed that they can now own parts of the internet. It's like, wow, this is literally the inverse of what.
Yes.
The whole
Subscribe to
thing
Giant
is
Bomb
about.
Premium today. In conclusion,
Yo, patreon.com/.
Right.
The internet has
Good
been bad
point.
since like 2002 or something.
Back
It's all
in my
bad.
day.
It's all bad. How about a food email? Let's cleanse our palates.
Yeah,
Lovely.
please.
This is from Jason. On the last episode, the subject of chili came up, along with the propriety of beans in chili. As a fellow Wisconsin native, I couldn't help notice Jason kept quiet about our state's stance on macaroni noodles and chili.
Whoa.
Everyone I know outside of the Dairyland finds this appalling, but I refuse to apologize for it. Jason, defend your state.
They're delicious. They're absolutely delicious in a chili. And I've actually had my wife try and recreate the chili that I had of old with the macaroni noodles. She thought it was hearsay, just crazy talk. But she did it anyway because she loves me. And we've found that we've got a pretty good like northern Wisconsin chili recipe that I'm not going to give out because we own it. Our secret
Non-fungible
recipe.
chili.
You could, yes,
Non-fungible
you could
chili.
be a part of this chili recipe for the low price.
No, it hits different. It
Sounds
a little
great.
different.
I don't know.
I was like
it's
just shocked to hear
fantastic.
that people are appalled by this stuff because we put pasta and chili. Real, to be more specific, we put chili on pasta. That's usually the way it goes. But I didn't know that was like
Mhm.
I didn't know that was a big deal. Like spaghetti, what's the corkscrew, the rotini or whatever. Like whatever we got,
Rotini.
man.
You can do that.
We call
Chili
it
is-
Fajala pasta.
Chili is going with some carb in this house, and it's usually either brown rice or pasta.
Wild.
I didn't know that was a big thing.
I'm wondering
or a big
why
deal.
I never just like put the spaghetti in the spaghetti sauce in the pot. Like, why am I waiting to do
Oh,
that
yeah.
labor once I get it on the plate?
Oh yeah. Just mix all that
Yeah.
stuff together.
That's right. Yep.
Missed the trick.
Get a steak with some chili on the side. Why not put some pasta or something in there? You know, it's like I'm gonna have chips with. I'm gonna use a chip to dip chili. This, yeah,
Sure.
this doesn't sound. This sounds good to me. Far better than any kind of like Cincinnati chili, like that weird nightmare 5 ways and all that other stuff. Like, yeah. Oh,
This reminds me of one really weird night where I thought let's mix pasta sauce and mashed potatoes and see what happens. And it
Hmm.
What
wasn't
happened?
it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
Was
I
it
could see
bad?
that. Not be my first choice, but I could see it.
Yeah.
That's doable.
It was a paste.
Mm.
I'm
It
sure.
was a fun paste. There was no actual
Sounds all right.
pasta, just potatoes.
It's all
Lots of
carbs.
cheese.
sure, that works. Why not?
Yes. Next email. Dominic in Chicago. Just rolling right along here. Watching UPF this past week and listening to Jan's Cliff Bar story, it made me want to share this. I've worked as a garbage man for several years now. Not residential. This was about dumpster diving, by the way. Jan regaled us with tales of dumpster diving on Friday. He says, I've worked as a garbage man for several years now, not residential, but the commercial side. And while I have been tempted to partake on the rare occasion, usually after Halloween, Valentine's Day, or Easter because of the glut of candy that's thrown out, I just couldn't do it. Jan isn't alone, though. More than one coworker has succumbed to the siren song of free and still factory sealed candy. However, one time I did grab an empty GTX Titan box. It wasn't damaged and looked perfect out of a recycled dumpster from a local computer business. I brought it home and left it where my 2 teenage boys were sure to find it. I fully admit that I am both a bad person as well as a bad parent, but remembering that day still makes me smile.
Yeah, isn't that
But
how
it was
that
an empty box.
I don't know.
Oh.
Email
that's
took a
weird.
real turn, I feel like.
Yeah.
But
like dumpster diving through e-waste? Isn't that how that one person found all those Xbox dev kits?
Yeah, probably.
it seems like something that would happen.
Yeah, some of them definitely happen.
Yes. Yes. Anyway. Please dumpster dive responsibly and ethically.
Yes.
Don't troll your children.
You should have sleeves and maybe wear gloves.
Bring a
I
knife.
found 2 people in a recycling bin once.
What?
What were they doing?
I found
Go on.
they were what had they been doing? I was skateboarding in the morning in my hometown, and I heard some people shouting. I heard voices from like one of those clothes bank things. You put you stuff the bags of clothes in.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I guess they went in the night before to, spend some quality time together. And it was in a car park, and somebody had parked up against it. And this was like maybe, I don't know, like it was after rush hours. It was like 10 in the morning or something. And I was skating past, and I heard somebody shouting at me from it. And I went over, and they were like kind of disheveled a bit. And like it was a dude and a girl. And then they were like, you have to get us out. And I'm like, there's a car here. Like you can't open it. So I had to call the fire brigade. And the fire brigade came, and they stuffed one of those inflatable bags that I guess they have for like underneath the fucking thing, and had to like tilt it over the car to get the door open. It was great. Like my home, boring as hell. Nothing ever happened. So I was just having it was a great morning. It was a lot of fun.
Did you get your picture in the paper?
No, but the phone call to the fire brigade was the funniest conversation I've ever had. It was like, because I'm like, and I sound like I'm pranking them, and I'm like, I'm in Miller's Marsh. There's somebody there's people stuck in a clothes thing. They can't get out, and they're like, "Will you stay there?" I'm like, "I'm fucking not leaving. I want to see how this ends." It's good. It's a good time.
It's quite a story. All right. Next email from Eric. Why is Sony still spending untold millions of dollars advertising a console no one can buy? I know these kinds of advertising deals are made very far in advance, but shouldn't some kind of force majeure clause have kicked in now to get them out of it?
They want people to want it. So when it does get back into stock, they'll buy it, and they still restock here and there. So you're not wrong. They probably don't need to be advertising that it exists, because it'll sell out for a while. I feel like, I don't see any TV ads ever, but I was going to say, do you see Xbox ads? I don't see a ton of them, but I don't. I don't hear people talking about them. I guess
they had a lot. They had that one that ran for a while, but that was the only time I'd seen them. Was the one that had the headset in it that they eventually pulled out?
Right. Yeah.
But I haven't seen it in forever. Now. Yeah.
I'll see bus ads.
Okay.
For like Sony or Xbox, I guess.
Yeah. Are you still, Jan? Are you still actively trying?
Oh yeah.
To get a PS5? Yeah.
Someone linked me during UPF last week, and I thought it was like a GIF of something.
What was that like weird multi-stage Best Buy purchase process they had going on?
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know that I ever actually made it all the way through it. It looked like I would. Yeah, I don't know that I would have actually been able to buy one, because at one point it said that I'd made it to like phase 2 of it, but I don't know. Yeah,
it's like bizarre. Kind of digital waiting room or something.
Yeah,
it's like Fall Guys.
Yeah.
What did you have to do?
Fall Guys.
Was it just
you had to hit add to cart, and then it popped up a thing saying like, this isn't going to add it to the cart. We're gonna release stock every few minutes, and if this basically said, if this button lights back up, it says add to cart again, you need to click it again.
Sit here and stare intently at the webpage, I guess.
Yeah, it was just bizarre. But I guess everyone's had to find ways to try to beat scalpers and like robots and all that other stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, so strange. I don't know.
I feel incredibly lucky that I got both of mine.
Yeah,
I had it in a cart,
lucky.
and then I was in on like the first release, and then I was thinking like, you know what? I'll just save the money. I'll get one down the line. Little did I know it'd be a little bit more complicated.
Right.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Not that many exclusive games on the horizon, so
Yeah.
except Horizon.
yes.
Not even Horizon.
No, Horizon is also PS4.
Oh yeah,
Well, there we go.
I think
What am I-
Ratchet. I think
Right,
Ratchet
of
might
course.
be the only one, and Deathloop, I believe, are the two that I can think of that are not on PS4. But you can still play those stuff. All right. Email from Josh. Sega Menacer versus Super Scope 6. Thanks for your time.
It
Just got to look like the bazooka, right?
Yeah, the Super
Yeah,
Scope
what
was
is the
the
Menacer?
bazooka.
I never
The Menacer was
owned either one. It's like the fucking revolver, right?
The Menacer. No, that was the. No, the
That's
Menacer
the
was
Lethal
Sega's
Enforcers.
gun. that had
Lethal
9 different
Enforcers
attachments.
was the revolver.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait,
And
really?
so you could put 2 scopes on the Menacer or 1. It had like all these different accessories that you could bolt onto it, a stock, like extended stock, like all this other stuff. Then you could play Ready Aim Tomatoes, the Toe Jam and Earl game.
The Menacer looks scary.
Yeah.
Like
Menacing.
Super Scope kind of looks like a. Oh yeah, right. So the Super Scope did mount on your shoulder, right? It like literally was like a bazooka.
It's a bazooka. Yeah, the button was on top. It's cool. But like what? They're like 2 games.
Yeah, right.
3,
like, including the one that came with it or whatever. I never had either one, but the Menacer is like frightening looking, like with everything on it.
Yeah,
like it looks illegal.
Yeah.
Is it 2 scopes? Do you use the 2 scopes like binoculars?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't work for shit, but yes, that was the idea.
Oh, that's Terminator 2, the arcade game. Is that what it says it used it for or something? Okay.
Yeah. There was a 6-pack of games that came with the Menacer, including a Toe Jam and Earl themed one called Ready Aim Tomatoes.
I'm gonna have to go with the Menacer on this one.
It sounds
menace me up.
Yep.
I remember the battery life on the Super Scope really sucking.
Corpse Killer? Corpse Killer? Yeah.
Yeah, Corpse Killer.
Menacer.
Yes. Sounds like we are a Menacer house around here.
Wow.
If you scroll down enough, there's a gentleman. If you Google Super Menacer, I typed on accident. There's a gentleman who looks like he's wearing 2 power gloves, and I can't even make out the rest of the things he's wearing. But it looks like he has like super scopes on both arms also.
Made up
Don't mess with
of
that
light
guy.
guns.
He's loaded.
Dual wielding them.
Yeah.
I see him.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would not mess with that guy. I am very badass. Look at him.
Okay. Next email is Matt from Maryland. You talked about John Cena being too good for the Borderlands movie, and also that he's hosting Wipeout, which got my mind thinking about the old hosts of Wipeout. One of them being John Henson, the old host of The Soup. This got me thinking about The Soup, and Joel McHale sprung into my brain. Would Joel McHale be a good Handsome Jack?
Yes. Yeah. Joel McHale is not too good for the Borderlands movie.
So in the Hollywood power ranking, John Cena has ascended above Joel McHale.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Or was he ever
I'm gonna say
below
yes
him?
to that one.
Maybe John Cena always outranked Joel McHale.
I don't know. I don't know. Guy on wrestling versus like mid-card guy on wrestling with a rap gimmick might be below Joel McHale.
Okay, that's fair.
I would put John Henson above Joel McHale though as well as the best host of that show. I met him.
Not a lot of love for Joel McHale.
Joel McHale,
no, he's fine. He's fine. I don't know.
Well, we didn't answer the full question though. He's not too good for the Borderlands movie, but would he be a good Handsome Jack?
Yeah.
Does he have that kind of shit eating asshole demeanor down?
Not him, then Adam Scott.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Can't wait for the Borderlands movie.
Can't wait.
The defining event of our time. Let's see here. Addison in Missouri. Most conventions are not happening this year for good reason, but it appears Anime Midwest in Chicago is still happening. They've just announced their concert for this year, and it's ICP.
Oh, shit.
On one hand, myself and the people I see on a regular basis are or will be fully vaccinated by then, but on the other hand, this is a concert with no Fago. Should I go?
Yes.
Also, some dude named Samurai Dan is going to be there, and there's nothing I like more than being drunk off my ass at an anime convention and asking some dude questions about swords.
Overexcited swordsman. That's Samurai Dan. Why does his wife let him play with sharp stuff? That's the name of his panel or something.
Oh,
look at him.
I think the idea of an ICP concert that doesn't have Fago at it is really interesting.
How do they enforce that?
I think they are. I think ICP is there's a. This person sent me an image on Twitter of it. They're calling it it's like not unplugged but unpoured or some.
It's a dry ICP concert.
Yes, it's dry as yes. They are building it straight up as like because okay. So think about it this way: it's an anime convention. People are going to wear expensive cosplay stuff that they don't want to get covered in fucking Fago.
Okay.
Wait, does the Fago fly at an ICP show, or people straight up?
Yes.
Oh, they
Spraying
get
it?
drenched.
Yes.
What?
You will get wet with Fago.
Everywhere is the splash zone.
They've got 2 liters that they're squeezing and going like this while rapping. That is an ICP show.
God, that must be awful when it dries.
It sucks. But also it covers for a lot of performance gaffes. If you are doing like wrestling moves on each other and flinging Fago everywhere, like people aren't there to fucking hear them rap. Like they play the backing track has vocals on it. So they can just kind of like fill in every 5th word or miss as many words as they need to, and the song is still playing. It's fine. And then they can fucking fling Fago around and do whatever. And it's a different type of performance. So I want to see if that's not happening. I want to see them rap. I would be interested to be like, no, just do the songs. No, do the songs. Can you? Can you do the songs?
Let's see your chops. What do you really got?
Yeah. That would be interesting.
In fairness to them, they seem to have called off the gathering last year, the Dark Carnival. Pretty early. It was April. They called it off, and it was on in August. So
that was one of the first. I feel like that was one of the first big events that I remember happening, where I was like, "Oh, this is serious."
If they're calling that off, yeah.
I'm on AnimeMidwest.com, and then one of the bullet points or selling points for the convention is ramen noodles. We provide you unlimited, all-you-can-eat instant ramen because we care.
About killing you.
I don't
forget about the soda indulgence.
Oh, right underneath that soda indulgence. Drink way too much soda. Stay hyped all weekend. Don't drink water too, please.
Soda's water.
Yeah,
what happened
water
to Anime Central?
Somewhere in there, there's some water.
They're having a mushroom hunt also.
Of course. Truffles. How many anime conventions do they have in Chicago?
I'm going to say more than you want.
More than is necessary. Yes.
Yeah.
The last thing listed here is Wah Party. Forget Mario. This is more of a Wario Waluigi type of party event. And then now I don't want to go anymore.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm good.
They had me with the ramen, Samurai Dan, and the soda. Lost me with the Wah Party.
I'm on board.
Had me with a unique ICP experience, but
guys, I swear to God, I'd go to fucking anything right now. Sign me up. If they could guarantee that everyone there had the jab, I would be in full Waluigi. I guess I'm more of a Wario regalia. Anything. I might go to the gathering.
Yeah, fuck it.
Just to get out.
So many gatherings.
Get out, yeah.
I might just go stand around in a parking lot for a while.
Samurai.
Anything.
Oh, there's going to be swordsmanship demos.
We're doing that anyway, though, right?
Not as much as I would like.
All right, let's do a couple more emails here. Steven from Phoenix, Arizona. Given the success of stuff like Valheim, why do you think we don't see survival games from bigger studios? Franchises like Resident Evil and The Last of Us seem like prime territory for the genre. Did Metal Gear Survive poison that well?
No, I mean, Valheim's $20. Like, if you were putting out a Last of Us, you'd probably make it 60 and, it'd be a different, the economics of that are different. And what's like the biggest budget publisher survival game? Is it something like a State of Decay or?
Yeah, I don't know if that game's kind of more of a management sim than a survival game. There's some survival aspects, but
who publishes Rust?
Rust's, wasn't that just indie Gary's mod, dude?
Yeah, it's just like face punch, like all the
right. Yeah, I wonder if the success ratio, the hit ratio, like on one of these games, is just that much lower, so that the risk of investment on the other end is just not really there or something.
I mean, this would have to be like a spin-off, right? Like, it's not like the next Last of Us game is going to be a survival game, but like, I mean, fuck, I would much rather they tried a Resident Evil survival game than pumping out another weird third-person multiplayer shooter like they keep seeming to be intent on doing. Like, at least, I mean, if you're gonna do something weird with that franchise, at least do something that makes sense. I don't know.
Do you think maybe a big studio would just do too much, that it takes away from like the scrappiness of a small team? Or is there
something
like an
to be
allure?
said?
Yeah.
Or like, well, it's just how systems light some of these games are. Like it's really easy to, I don't know, they're not that deep right from the off. Or like if you're basing it on an existing IP, then maybe that's laboring the artistic vision with a bunch of expectations that just drag the whole thing down a bit.
Right.
Like Metal Gear Survive, you know, you kind of have to keep it in canon, and it doesn't work then maybe.
Oh, I don't know that I would say Metal Gear Survive kept much in canon, but
man, remember Metal Gear Survive?
Yeah, I just had to uninstall it when I ran out of hard drive space on my Xbox. It was a sad day. That story in that game is just so oh my god.
Fallout 76 is probably an example of another, right?
Yeah.
Sure, that's close. Yeah.
Not quite in the same way, but yeah, sort of.
It's got elements of that. Sure. Josh from Colorado, what is the best alt fire in video games? It's got to be the
shock rifle.
It's the shock combo, right?
Oh. Shock rifle, shock combo.
It's gotta be
or the flat cannon is also that grenade. Is
every Unreal Tournament weapon has its.
Unreal Tournament is the best alt fire.
Oh, there you go.
You
can fire that rocket launcher in like 16 different ways.
Yeah, that's right. Doom Eternal.
Doom 2016 was bad. Was do you remember the one that shot out the saw blades?
Yeah.
In Unreal Tournament, the alt fire would just explode. That's like exploding barbed wire. That doesn't make any sense.
No, yeah, and it doesn't work when you need it.
I like a primary that's so good it doesn't need an alt.
You Quake purist.
That's right. Shot combo is pretty good though. All right, let's do like two more here. Anonymous in the Bay Area.
Oh.
Ben.
I just thought. What's that?
This is Ben.
I don't know. Yeah. I am bound not to say. I just thought Brad might enjoy hearing that the method is still very much in circulation. The co-author of it, we talked about this on the Hotspot on Friday.
Yeah,
apparently
Mark Cerny's method.
Mark Cerny, if you go to his Wikipedia page, there's a section called The Method, which is apparently a philosophy of game development that Mark Cerny came up with. Anyway, this emailer says, the method is very much still in circulation. The co-author of it, Michael John, has been a professor at my alma mater, UC Santa Cruz, and their game design program for some time. He used it to help whip many of the Spyro games in particular into shape. And I believe he still consults on the side, teaching it to studios. He's also pretty reachable on Twitter for what it's worth. Just thought I'd give a shout out to a professor I deeply appreciated and his method, which I found helped me. So there you go.
Cool.
Method works. You heard it here.
That's right. That's right. They don't call it the method for nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Last email. God, I don't remember what inspired this. Help jog my memory. Sam from Texas wrote this email. He starts it on the topic of banned branded. Oh, it was the corn coffee, right?
Yum.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yes, that's what it was. The coffee from corn from last week. On the topic of banned branded drinks, are you aware of blackened whiskey? It's American whiskey that listens to Metallica while it ages in black brandy barrels. You can even look up the playlist that was playing while your batch was aging. Mine was batch 99. He links to the website. But he closes by saying, it's actually legit good whiskey. They brought in some real whiskey experts to put the blend together. I quite enjoy it and usually have a bottle hanging around. Of course, I had to click through and pull up batch 99. The playlist on his batch, according to the website, was arranged exclusively by Lars Ulrich.
Oh my god, just Invisible Kid on repeat.
It consisted of It's Electric, Sad But True, One, All Within My Hands, Moth into Flame, Carpe Diem Baby, sure, Ride the Lightning, and Dyer's Eve. That's what this guy's bottle of whiskey listened to as it was aging.
Oh, fuck. We hit the wrong button, and this batch heard Death Magnetic for a week and a half. We have to throw it all out.
It's ruined now.
We have to throw it all out. This isn't going to work.
It's American whiskey that listens to Metallica while it ages is one of the funnier things I have seen somebody write in a while.
I can't believe it.
That's, man.
It's a good grift. That's good. That's
dude.
good.
Fuck the blockchain. This is an ethically sustainable grift.
I was going to say they should live stream that, but that would be streaming Metallica's music over the internet, and we can't have that. So,
You think it's all in the same warehouse? Do you think it's like all the different batches are right next to each other, so all the playlists are just mixing into an awful cacophony where you can't actually hear anything?
There's a big set of headphones on each individual barrel.
Oh man! Oh, that's so good, dude. I want to get into I really want to get into the boutique world of like craft whiskey aging. like there are brands that age at sea now. Like they load the barrels onto ships because the bobbing back and forth is supposed to slosh it around in the barrel and make it age better.
Sure.
This is nonsense.
What's the next aging method going to be?
Send it into space. Send it into orbit.
Okay, send it into low orbit. Okay, well, we shouldn't say this on. Should not say this on a podcast.
Oh my!
You just email the podcast to yourself, and then
just put this idea on the blockchain. It'll be ours forever.
That's right. Nobody can get to it then.
Forged by sound.
It's like the same logic as like whenever I make a sub sandwich at lunchtime and I'm listening to Static X. It's just been
sandwiches that much better. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yes. All right. Thanks to everybody who wrote in. Bombcast at giantbomb.com. Thanks to everybody for listening.
Yeah.
That's it for the podcast. Danny, as always, thank you again for being here.
Always a pleasure.
Big week for you guys last week. Congratulations on the the
thanks,
goings on. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big surprise to us, but it means that the rest of the team will have more hours and we can give a bit of stability to folks, which given the year we just had was very much appreciated. So if anyone who's listening was part of that and or has been supporting us in the past, massive thanks to everyone. Especially the next day Jeremy's RV was stolen. So it was a bit of a weird week over here.
Yes. Highs and lows for sure. Exactly. Congrats to you guys. Where can people find your stuff?
YouTube.com/noclipvideo. We've got a lot of stuff working on at the moment actually now because we've got more edit budget. So there'll be videos hitting soon.
Cool.
For letting me.
Yes. Cool. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the podcast. We've got more stuff popping off as usual on the website this week, live streams and quick looks and so forth. So look for those, and we'll see you back here next week for another Giant Bombcast. Bye.